Hey y'all, I hope you're ready to catch some fish today, because it's time. We're going to drop some baits down and get after them catfish today. Hopefully get some blues. We're getting into that time of year. We're getting into spring here. It's about time for them flatheads to really start picking up too. Don't matter to me today, y'all. I just want to get a bite on this beautiful day. It's beautiful here in East Tennessee today, y'all. High 60s, virtually no wind, sunny, just perfect day to be out on the water. So let's get after them, man. I'm going to put y'all on the chest. I'll show you the baits here and the rigs, and then I'll explain where we're at and what we're going to be doing today. So first bait going out, we're going to be dragging some baits today. This is my dragon sinkers here. I've mentioned this a bunch of times before, but if you want to learn how to make these, there's a link down in the video description. They're very simple to make and much cheaper to make them than they are to buy out there in the catfish world. But I've got a 80-pound myelin filament leader coming down to a float, 3-inch peg float, and a rattle with a 10-aught size circle hook, and then a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly coming off the back of that. We'll drop that out, we'll get that line going, and we'll get our other bait going here. While that, we let line on that. This other rig, exact same setup, only difference is we got a chunk of skipjack. Doing a head and a chunk on our two dragging rods. We're going to have another rod here in a minute that I'm going to show you. That's going to be it's a dumb rig, but we're going to catch some fish on it at some point this spring, summer. Some point we're going to get on a bite. All right, so we got that one going out. Now what we're going to do, this dragon rig here, this next rig, ain't really a dragon rig, but we are going to be trolling with it. Let me get turned around here where you can see. So we got a balloon tied on directly onto my main line, 40-pound monofilament. That comes down a few feet below here. We've got a dropper rig with a circle hook there and just a small fillet of skipjack. I'm basically just wanting this rig, this hook here and this bait to be just putting off some scent and some blood and some oil in the water, because right below it I've got a jig here. This is a Catfish Sumo bait stalker jig, 1 ounce size, and so it's going to be a few feet below the cut bait, which is a few feet below the balloon. So we're going to have our front two rods here. Those baits are going to be on bottom. They're going to be dragging bottom. This other rig here, I'm going to let out some line on it. It's going to be up in the water column, and so that jig will be down 6 to 8 foot range. The piece of cut bait couple feet above it. So we're going to hit the top of the water column and the bottom of the water column as we work our way up this ledge. And what we're going to be doing, I'm starting here, you can see this kind of a cliff wall almost that comes straight down here. We're going to work this ledge, just a big stretch of it here this afternoon. I'm going to fish for, we got 3 or 4 hours here until dark. I'm going to fish until dark, and let's say we're moving a half a mile an hour. We're going to cover about 2 miles, give or take, of this ledge. As we move along up through here, I'm terrible with distances. 1/4 mile, half mile up, there's a major creek that comes in. And just beyond that up there, there's another creek, which with our water, it may not have much water in it right now. But as we get on up through there, we'll pull our baits in front of these old creeks and stuff, and we never know what we're going to find working along these ledges. You just never know, man. It could be blues, it could be flatheads, you just don't know. At some point up through here, we could really get on them. It could just, you just never know where they're going to be as they make their way along. So we got that bait out there. That's our balloon. I'm going to go ahead and flip a bail over on both of those actually. Let's clean our cutting board here. We'll have some nasty worms on them things, man. Them skipjack got the worms. Y'all need to give them some worm pills or something. And speaking of bait, y'all, and this video, by the way, it's gonna be unedited, raw and uncut, bringing y'all with me just like you's out here fishing with me today. We'll tell some stories, tell some lies, and hopefully catch some fish. But if we get on some fish, we're gonna run out of bait quick. I went out yesterday, and today's weather is a big difference from yesterday. We had a cold snap yesterday morning, 20-something degrees, and the wind was cranking, and I went out and hit some places where I had been getting skipjack easily just before I went on my Alabama trip. And buddy, there was nothing going on, nothing to be had. I went out for about 4 hours, hit multiple spots, got a grand total of 5 skipjack, but they are all small. It was the baby skipjack. It wasn't the mediums, the larges, the jumbos. It was the babies. So you get about 2 baits out of these skipjacks, maybe 3. So we would get on some fish up here. We're gonna need them to be generous with us and give some of these baits back so we can hopefully get a second fish on them. But hopefully we're gonna have a better day catfishing today than what I had bait fishing yesterday. But I'm gonna put y'all in the chest and bring yous with me here, and we're going dragging today, y'all. What we're gonna do, let me show you here on the graph before we really get going. So I got the live scope on, got it facing forward here, got the speed set 0.5, but you see right here this bottom edge. So this over here is that cliff wall to the left, okay? These contour lines, you see how it's real dark right there, and it may be hard to see with the sun facing right into it, but that signifies that when you get contour lines real close together like that, it signifies a steep drop. So that's where that cliff wall comes straight down to the river bottom, and then it kind of flattens out here, and then on this side it kind of gradually goes up over here, and there's an island right over here, okay? So what we want to do today is we want to hit this bottom edge right here. We want to get, I'm going to get us positioned a little closer to it. We're veering off right here while I film this, but we want to be on this bottom edge. These catfish, as they make their way up and down these ledges, traveling spot to spot, they love those edges. It's something for them to relate to, and they will follow along there. So when you're trolling or drifting, whatever you're doing, like today we're going, there's not much current out here, but we're going into the current today. If we were, say we were suspend drifting or something and we were coming with the current, either way, you still want to be right along them edges right there in the path that they're going to be swimming along as they move spot to spot. Get them active fish, get them in transition as they go, and get a bait in their face. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're really going to focus on, and we're going to hit that break line just all the way up through here and around. And with the time we got out here today, should be somewhere about 2 miles or so, give or take. Now, if we really get on some fish, we may hit the spot lock and set there on them. Or if that don't work out, but we're picking up some fish, we may circle back and hit an area again. You know, we'll let the fish tell us what we want to do. But I'm just going to bring y'all with me for the ride here. I'm going to put y'all in the chest. I'm going to put my buff over my head here, so hopefully that sun don't give me a weird suntan on my head. I had that happen last year. I went to get my hair cut, and you know, my hair at my age ain't got a whole lot of hair left. But I went into the hairdresser girl there. I just go with the great clips, you know. I don't need no barber shop or no fancy beauty shop or nothing. I'll go in the great clips, and whoever gets me, you know, type deal. But this girl was making fun of me last year because the mesh backing on my hat, where I'd got sun on my head, my bald spot up there, I had basically a pattern, a mesh pattern on my head because the sun had given me a tan right there. So now I got my buff pulled up over my head, so hopefully I can avoid getting made fun of this year. But it's nice to be able to come out and wear a hat and not a daggone toboggan. We finally getting in. Today, I'm filming this. Let's see what we got here. Today's March 20th. I'm filming this. 3:35 here, and we're starting. Today may be the first day of spring, I think. I ain't 100% certain on that. Don't quote me, but if it ain't today, it's tomorrow 1. So we're getting that time of year. It's going to start getting a lot more comfortable to fish. I ain't opposed to fishing in the wintertime, but I pretty much just hit the better weather days. I ain't freezing my cutie patootie off for no fish. I just ain't gonna do it. These fellas in the boats will talk smack about me like I'm some kind of pansy, but they're in a damn boat with a full enclosure and a propane heater, so I don't want to hear them talking. They're out there basically building a cabin on the water, fishing while I'd be out there freezing to death out here in this kayak. So anyway, about to be a lot more comfortable. Could have probably fished this morning, but what I wanted to do was wait till the afternoon and let it warm up a bit. Let us hopefully get through this little bit more past this front we had yesterday. The temperature bottomed out yesterday morning. It was in the 20s. Had that hard freeze. Hopefully our last hard freeze here in East Tennessee. Hopefully, you never can tell, but fingers crossed. But then we had all that wind, and today we've kind of, you can see bluebird skies for the most part. So the further you get past this front, the better the fishing's going to be. And I'm hoping maybe the warmer temperatures out here this afternoon will kind of get them feeding a little bit, hopefully. And if they want to eat, we got some small skipjack for them. I ain't no that rig back there behind us, the balloon rig, I know it looks ridiculous, but I've caught a lot of fish on cut bait under balloons. And so when Catfish Sumo come out with them jigs, and they made them jigs mainly for me because I was last year having success with the live scope, dropping a jig down to them catfish that I was seeing on the screen. And I haven't been able to get on that bite hardly at all this year, just a few fish here and there. But I had reached out to the owner of Catfish Sumo, and I was like, look, I need some jigs with some thicker hooks. You know, it's not going to bend out when I'm putting a bait on, you know, a jig in front of a catfish that's 15 feet down under me, you know. Even small fish, I mean, it's a tough fight, and they're thrashing around and rolling and stuff. It's like, I need some hooks that are not going to straighten out. And so they went to great efforts to make me the jigs that I wanted, and then I ain't been able to get on that bite hardly all daggone year so far. And so anyway, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, I bet I could run them jigs. I mean, when I'm doing the live scoping and dropping a jig down on these fish that are up in the water column, putting it in their face, I'm not using any scents, no cut bait on the hook. I mean, nothing. I'm just using the bare jig, but I'm putting it right on their nose and triggering their strike. And I'm like, you know, when I'm out here trolling, dragging baits, or if I'm back, especially if I'm in the creeks and stuff and I'm pulling baits under balloons anyway, well, why not have a jig under that rig too? Just because, I mean, you cover enough water, eventually you're going to put it in front of one of them's nose, right, if they're up in the water column. And that's one thing I've learned from doing the live scope sniping of these fish, is that if you do get on one that is up in the water column, it's active, it's wanting to eat. And so we got a snag right here, by gosh. Let's see if we can come out of this. There it comes. There's a little educational pro tip for you there, folks. I've shared this in some other unedited videos, and maybe some of the other videos too. I can't remember. All these things run together after a while. But when you see, when you're dragging baits and you first start getting snagged, you see your rod starting to load up. If you'll grab your rod, give it some slack, and then lift straight up, you'll oftentimes pull right over whatever the snag is. And right now I can feel that thing. We're going through a rough bottom right there. It's either rocks or it's debris down there. I can feel that sinker catching on that stuff. Right here's one. You see that fish right there? It's too far now. We can't get him. I've got another rod here with a jig for us to try to snipe a few today, and we may see if we can't. Right there's another one. Oh, he's in and out of the screen. We didn't see that in time. We'll leave that out right there though, just in case we come across some more. But anyway, like I was saying, you get on them snags, as long as you don't jerk it real hard or let that rod just fully load up into the snag, most time you can guide that rig up and over. And with me doing like I'm doing today, just running 2 rods, if we do get one snagged, it ain't a big deal to reel the other line in and go back and get it. Because most time you get snagged, you can get it free. There's occasionally, if you lose a rig, it's because you've pulled through a brush pile and your hook has gotten snagged on the wood. If it's just your sinker that gets caught between some rocks or wedged under a log kind of or something, you'll get that back. It's only when your hook gets dug into something that you lose a rig. But there's definitely, man, I'm telling you, it's a rough bottom right here. We're gonna try dragging it though. Won't be much longer, about probably mid-April. Once the water temps get above 60, that's when I start doing better drifting with the current, suspending baits. For whatever reason, this time when the water temp's under 60, I seem to do better dragging than drifting. Either way, the bait's moving, so why does one work and the other don't, I don't know, but that's just the way it is. You can more easily control your speed dragging than what you can drifting. Drifting, you just kind of, let's see if we can, this one's going to be past us before the jig gets down. I saw him late. He was deep too. Wouldn't hurt my feelings if we put this jig in front of a drum's face today, as we could use us some extra bait. Only thing I can figure yesterday was that real cold snap. Most of the skipjack I'd been getting been in the backwaters and the creeks. And it ain't uncommon to catch skipjack in the backwaters all winter long. But when you have, we'd been having some warmer temperatures in the afternoons recently, and then we had that cold front and it got down on 20s there yesterday morning. Only thing I can figure is that we just had a real sharp drop in them shallow water temps yesterday. Probably dropped it several degrees there overnight, and them fish just pulled out and shut down a little bit. Fish can tolerate a lot being cold-blooded and all, but they don't like sudden changes, sudden drops. And so that's the only thing I can figure. But I hit a place I've been getting them, didn't do diddly poo there, went to another spot, fished off the bank, didn't do diddly poo, finally threw up a Hail Mary, went and hit an open water spot out in the main channel where I oftentimes get some this time of year, and I got the ones that I got out there, but they were small. And boy, it was rough too, because the water was just so dang choppy. I took my pedal kayak out yesterday because I knew this kayak here, with the amount of chop on the water from all the wind, I'd have a hull full of water. So I took my pedals and went out there, and I ended up, I don't know how many miles I covered yesterday, but it was a lot for the few baits that I got. But by gosh, we're going to try to make them count today. But I'm back home now from Alabama. Had a successful trip down there on a tournament weekend. Got several fish on tournament day. Got a pretty nice one there, 41.5 inches. That won me the big fish prize. And I won first place overall too. So it was a good tournament. I had a better tournament day than I did practice days. I think that's a fish right there under us, y'all. At first I thought that was just a small school of bait, but now that we're hitting him at a different age, he's past us now. I done missed another opportunity. But he's about 25 feet down. We could have definitely thrown it there. I thought it was a small school of bait at first. But that's a fish. But yeah, Alabama was good to me. The lake I ended up, we could fish either Wilson or Pickwick down there. I went to Pickwick. I'd planned on going to Wilson because it was going to allow me to fish longer on Wilson since it was closer to our check-in. And I got to talking to Ryan Bortz there the night before at our pre-tournament meetup where we get our identifiers. And just bad luck. He was going to the same place that I was going to go, fishing out of the same launch, going to hit the same ledge. He was going to be dragging baits too. And I thought, well, heck far. This is just bad luck, you know? And I was talking to some of the other guys there, and it seemed like everybody was going to go to Wilson. Everybody kind of had the same idea, doing the same thing. And I thought, you know, it's a longer drive to go down to Pickwick. And I'm going to have to leave early before the tournament ends to make sure I make it back. But I'm going to be fishing water where I'm not going to have any competition. We're not going to be sitting on top of each other out there. Like, I'll have the place I'm going to fish to myself. And I already knew that I was going to have to catch them with a moving bait, like just my practice days. That was the only way I was getting bit, was dragging. I couldn't get them anchored. I couldn't get them suspended. I couldn't get them drifting. Like, dragging for whatever reason was the only way I could get a bite. And so I felt good about the ledge I was going to hit, but then I got there on tournament day, and I got on the water early because we are allowed to launch. The tournament was 7 to 3 was the hours, 7 a.m. 3 p.m. But we can launch before the tournament. We just can't have lines in. And so I got to the launch site that I was going to be using early because it was a nice boat ramp. And when I went out there on pre-fishing days, I noticed there was a pole set up where like the bass fishermen would hang their tournament scales and whatnot. And so because it was such a nice boat ramp, and because I had seen that pole with the scale holder on there, I was like, be my luck, I'll show up and there'll be some bass tournament going on and I won't even be able to get my kayak in the water. So I got out there super early so that I could beat those bass boats getting on the water if there was a tournament there. Now, fortunately, there wasn't, but I didn't know that going out there. So anyway, I'm on the water. It's super early, and I thought, well, let me go over here and check out this island that I had fished on pre-fishing days. I hadn't done any good when I had pre-fished there, but we'd had some conditions changed. The day before the tournament, Alabama got a ton of rain. We got a bunch of rain here in Tennessee too, but they got a lot more down there in Alabama. And so TVA had kicked on all the generators, the spill gates were open. I mean, they were really moving some water. And I thought, I'm going to go over there and check out that island and see if there ain't maybe some fish set up. Because there was a nice current break coming off one of them islands. Because it was an area, it like dropped straight off in a place where fish could get out of that current. And I go over there and I'll be jogging, man. There was fish stacked up right there on that current break. And I was like, it's my lucky day. I'm about to just wreck these fish. I'm going to sit here and wear them out. And I ended up anchoring on that spot, which, again, I hadn't caught anything at all pre-fishing anchored. But I anchored right there above that current break for, I guess, about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and caught a grand total of 1 fish. Got 2 bites, caught 1 fish, and I was like, this just ain't working. I'm wasting too much time. And then them fish moved. And I went looking for them, and I wasted a bunch more time just looking around with the live scope, trying to figure out, like, okay, did they move off this current break, or where did they go? Did they slide down? Did they get behind that? I never could find the dang things. But I wasted a ton of time trying. So then, after that, I finally went and did what I had planned on doing in the tournament anyway, which is dragging baits on a main channel ledge. And finally, as the day went on, got on some fish, just started picking them off, and I got them all the way up that ledge. So it ended up working out well for me in the end, even though it was a pretty slow start. There's another snag we just pulled right over. I'm telling you folks, that right there will save you a lot of rigs doing that right there. Fishing 2 rods, not doing all that planer board crap will save you a bunch of rigs too. And you got planer boards out, and 6, 8, 10 rods, you pretty much got to break off, because you can't pull everything in and reset. It takes too long. You better believe too, we got back to the check-in down there. Oh, this is such a rough bottom here. Well, I was just bragging how you pull right through this crap doing this. And there it comes. Let's try to get ahead of whatever that is. So dang, that's just a rough bottom right there, man. There's all kinds of debris, I guess, down there. But anyway, we get back to the tournament check-in there, and pretty much I think everybody but me and one other person was running boards, planer boards down there. And them fellas, man, they're running, like I said, 6 rods, 8 rods, 10 rods, looking just ridiculous, fishing that many rods off a kayak. And you want to do that, fine, but if you're fishing 10 rods to my 2 and I beat you, oh, you're in for it when we get back to check-in, because I'm gonna ride you. I'm gonna give you so much hell. And so I did. I was back there, I was talking all kinds of smack to them fellas. But I don't see a need for planer boards if you're fishing a ledge, which I think is what pretty much everybody was doing in the tournament. Planer boards have their place. If you're out on a big flat where fish could be spread out, they're chasing schools of bait. Goodness gracious, this thing. We're gonna cut the distance down on this rod here. Let's see if we can hopefully put our line at a different angle by reeling it a little closer to us, and hopefully we'll come through this better. That is a nasty bottom right there. But yeah, planer boards, there's situations where fish could be spread out. Flats are the most common example, because bait fish will be up on them flats. They'll be spread out oftentimes. Catfish could be literally anywhere on them flats. Old creek channels is another one. When fish move into creeks, you know, I fish the creek mouths a lot, but when they move into the creeks, they could go anywhere. This one here we ain't getting back, folks. We're gonna have to turn around and go get it. Goodness gracious, we're off to a heck of a start here. Let's reel our other one in right quick behind us here. But creeks are another one where you can expect fish to maybe be spread out a little more. But when you're on these ledges, man, I want to hit the break lines. I don't want my baits all over, spread out all over creation. You know, I want to know where my baits are at. And when you got boards, you're covering a 50-yard, 100-yard stretch with them dang boards spread out. You just don't know where the heck your baits are at. You know they're spread out, but you don't necessarily know that you're on a specific break line or not, which is where I want to be every time. Every time I'm fishing a ledge, I either want the top break line or the bottom, because those are high percentage plays. So I just don't think planer boards are a good tool to use on ledges, and that's just my opinion. But them fellas, they're out there running 6, 8, and 10 rods against me fishing ledges, and I whoop a far out of them with 2 rods. But I was able to do what they couldn't, which is keep my baits on those break lines, those high percentage areas. And I ended up, just numbers wise, not only did I catch bigger fish than them for the tournament and won the tournament, but I caught more fish than most of them too, numbers wise, even though I had a significantly less number of rods out. because I just had my baits where the fish were traveling. I see this one here where we're gonna get this rig back because we just got behind it there. Turn back around. This wind is hitting us here all of a sudden. I don't mind the bottom being real rough through here and dragging through it and dealing with it, but the problem is I ain't seeing no fish along the bottom here as we're going across it. So we're gonna make a run up here and maybe try to get ahead a little of this. And I really want to focus on this creek up here. That's where I think we're going to have our best success at if we get on some fish possibly that are just hanging out, just kind of staged up, would be on this creek mouth. But it's on up here a little ways. But anyway, I make it back there to the tournament. I was giving some of them old boys hell about them planer boards they was running, all them rods, and couldn't beat an old boy with 2 daggone rods in the water, 2 baits. Oh, here's some bait right here. Look at all this. Yeah, here we go. Start letting these lines back up. But see right there where we just did, going back and getting that rig right there. Couldn't have done that if we'd had planer boards out, because we'd have had to reel in all them 6-8 rods. Then we'd have to put everything back out once we were done, and it just takes so long. It didn't cost us just a couple minutes here to do that when we're running 2. Take us even less time if I didn't have this 3rd rod behind us, but I just wanted to play with this rig a little bit today. I have no idea if this will catch us anything or not. I think our best chance of getting bits, obviously them rigs that are dragging, but the encouraging thing, I mean, that's a lot of bait right there on the bottom, from about 30 feet down to 38, which we're running right now. So the bait's on bottom. I ain't gonna run these rigs too far behind us because they ain't that much chop on the water today. The wind just had a little gust there a minute ago, but it ain't bad like it was yesterday. Okay. All right, we reset again. Back on the move, just like that. Where are we at in this video? Lord, we're 30 minutes in and we ain't got a bite. Y'all ain't gonna stick with me if I don't catch something soon. Get your rabbit's foot out and rub it a minute there. I don't guess they can even sell rabbit's feet anymore. It's probably the PETA people all over it. When I was a kid, you go to these little, I don't even know what they'd be called, junk stores really, thrift stores. Used to be one when I was a kid there in town called Judy's, and she'd have a little toy section of toys that no kid ever wanted, but that'd oftentimes be a rabbit's foot in there. I had several of them as a kid. They'd be spray painted, the fur on them be spray painted. It's supposed to be good luck, but I bet you can't sell a rabbit's foot nowadays. I bet you it's you have a rabbit's foot now, it'd be bad luck because all the PETA people would be after you. Well, I was just talking about that wind not being bad today, but it's coming up right behind us. It's gonna move us along here a little bit. We have to back our speed off just to compensate. Normally I like trolling into the wind, but the wind is going against the current right now, and we definitely need to go against the current. As long as it don't get no worse than this, we fine, but hopefully it won't. But yeah, y'all, if you watching this, obviously we've got off to a slow start here, but if you're seeing this, spoiler alert, we got on some. Because I ain't gonna post one of these. I know it's a real fishing trip. That's the goal of these things, bring you just real life fishing like you were here with me. And in real life, you get skunked. It happens. It happened to me down there in Alabama on one of my pre-fishing days. I had 2 of my pre-fishing days. One of them I caught 1 fish, and one of them I caught nothing. So it happens. That's real fishing. But I ain't gonna post a video like that. Not on this channel. So if you seeing this, we got on some at some point up through here. I'm gonna back off of speed just a little bit here because it's got us moving. 0.65, 0.7 there. I don't want to go that fast. Not right now. It's all that bait there on bottom, man, and that's a look like a fish right there about 40 feet out. I'm gonna bring that in just a little bit there. I'm gonna bring it in about 45 feet that we're looking out. That way it'll make it a little easier on me if we see something up in the water column for me to snipe. Be easier to kind of see them coming there. Make them look a little bigger on the screen by bringing your distance in. I don't know how much we'll see up in the water column today, if any. Down there in Alabama, I certainly wasn't seeing much. Honestly, wasn't seeing much down there on the bottom either, but I was clearly pulling by enough fish to let me know that there was some on bottom. But I'm gonna fish today, this afternoon here till dark. And tomorrow, I don't know. I'd like to fish tomorrow, but if we go through our bait today, and we probably will if we get on some, then I'm gonna be out of bait. And then the day after that, Friday, I'm gonna fly out to Las Vegas for the weekend, get a little vacationing in. So by the time you're seeing this video, I'm already back from Las Vegas, but nevertheless, I went out there. I'm going out there this weekend. So if you're seeing this probably on Tuesday, I would imagine, then I just got back the day before. Unless I was on one of them planes where the doors are flying off or something. That's a little bit scary. Have all that going on while I'm about to get on a flight. But going out there, gonna live it up a little bit, get a little vacation, take a break from my phone, take a break from social media, see if I can't hit me a jackpot. Somebody gotta win it. Probably at the craps table. I like to throw the dice a little bit. I ain't very good at it. Don't really understand the game, but I like to throw the dice. Especially if one of the person running the table there is a hot girl with her tatas hanging out. So I'll do a little of that. Going to go to the Spear. It's like a big snow globe looking thing out there on the strip. It's supposed to be put on entertaining shows and whatnot. So I'm going to do that. Go to a hockey game. I've been told I'm going to have to go see Jersey Boys, which is apparently some kind of musical. Not really my cup of tea, but you know, it ain't all about me when I go somewhere. So I gotta compromise. And then I don't know what else to do. Probably just do the free stuff out there. That's one of my favorite things about Las Vegas is just all the amount of stuff you can do on the strip that's just free. I ain't been out there since before the pandemic. So I'm sure a lot's changed, but used to, you go out there and you go to the water show at the Bellagio and spend some time. That's always real neat. They got them big water fountain things that blast off to music and stuff. And then they got this garden area inside the Bellagio casino. And they do like seasonal exhibits and stuff. It's always really cool. It's free. Treasure Island used to have a pirate show they'd put on outside like 2 or 3 times a night, and then they had a volcano at the Mirage. It would erupt 2 or 3 times a night. So there's all kinds of neat stuff to do out there that don't cost you a dime. And then of course too, just walking up and down the strip, you got the people watching. That's some of my favorite things to do, is just look at the street performers and stuff out there. So I'm gonna have a good time out there, as long as the doors don't fly off the planes on the way out, or I get stuck at an airport forever. Won't get stuck in Knoxville. Knoxville's a small airport. Won't be a problem there, and I got a direct flight to Las Vegas. It's like 4.5 hours. It's not bad. But coming back on Monday out of Las Vegas could be it's a big airport, so if I'm gonna get delayed somewhere, it'll be there. We're leaving out, I think our flight leaves 12 or 1 Eastern time on Friday. It'll put us out there, I think we're supposed to land. Maybe it's close. I can't remember exactly when we're leaving out, but I think we're supposed to get there about 3 o'clock Vegas time. And then coming back, we leave, I think it's around 3 or 4 Vegas time. We'll get back somewhere around midnight on Monday night. So it's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Used to go out there about once a year, at least once every other year. Did that for a long time, and then just ain't been in a few years, between everything kind of getting shut down there with the pandemic, and then YouTube kind of taking off for me. I kind of have to focus on getting consistent content. So this will be kind of the first non-fishing vacation that I've taken in the last several years. So looking forward to it. Be a nice break. Be nice to put the phone down, get off of social media, decompress a little bit, come back, batteries charged, be ready to hit it as we get into spring here. Start fishing more and cranking out the content. So come out here today hoping to have at least get a video today, so I'd have something there when I got home to be able to post. But these fish are making me work for it right now, ain't they? They're making us wait a little bit. But we got all that bait right there, man. It's thick schools of bait right there on bottom. We're gonna run into some fish somewhere down through here. I promise you, that much bait there on bottom, there's some cats somewhere near that. It has to be. Here's something else I realized when I got on the water today too, and y'all could have reminded me, but if y'all was worth a damn, you'd have reminded me. I left my drink in the car. I'm out here just parched. I got to do all, there's a fish. There we go. Hooked up. Finally, y'all. Took a while, but we got him. I knew there's going to be some fish around this bait here. There's just too many dang, I assume it's shad. There has to be some fish around there. But yeah, I left my drink in the car. Y'all just let me walk out of that car and forget it. Can't count onions for nothing. I guarantee you ain't gonna land this fish for me either. Hell, y'all won't even wave at bass boat, man. I got my hands full, can't wave. I'm trying to be polite out here. Y'all waving with one finger, I know yous are. Ooh, look at this one right here coming up. We're coming up on that one. That's a nice one right there. I'd like to have thrown a jig at that one, but got my hands full here. We're getting on some here now, though. I got a feeling business about to pick up. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm feeling it. be about to see this thing. We're gonna get him up here and we're gonna get this bait back out real quick since we just went by that pretty nice fish there. That's a blue. Let's see what he ate. He ate the cut bait. Come here, blue kitty. You got a prestigious honor. It's a very prestigious honor of being #1 on this video. #1 on the video and #1 in these people's hearts. And you've thrown the bait off. This fish apparently, well, he's got the fly there. Hell, he's got the fly and the dang cut bait hook, didn't he? Oh, come here now. He's got that dang fly in the mouth, buddy. I don't know if he ate both of them or what. That fly's about 1.5 feet, 18 inches, 2 foot behind it. Oh, he got it kind of deep too. I think we can get it out here. Yeah, I think we can get that. It's deep, but I think we can get it. There we go. No, oh Lord. Hold yourself out there. Boy, he's clamped down on my thumb. I gotta get my glove out. You lucky fish. You had that thing any deeper, you'd have been a goner. There it goes. That fish didn't give a crap about being first one on the video. He didn't care at all. Hey, look at that right there. You see that? Oh, he's swimming off. That would have been one we might have thrown at. Let's grab another bait real quick. Man, oh man. Well, I wouldn't give for some better sized baits right now. Just could not catch them yesterday. Just wasn't happening. Just these little smaller skipjack. We'll do what we can with them. They caught us at least one fish. That's weird though, that last fish. I don't know if he ate the fly and then just kind of, as we reeled him in, he got up there on that cut bait, or if he come along and was just super aggressive and ate the fly and then ate the bait too. I got that line all wrapped around the rod tip. There we go. I don't know. He's lucky though, boy. He had that thing deep. Let's put this on. Another piece of cut bait there. Send that back out. Down it goes. We'll just keep making our way up through here. Stick this skipjack back in the cooler. I'm thinking about buying me a new cooler, y'all. I shouldn't. It's a terrible purchase. I'll tell you that story in a minute, because we got a whole school of fish coming right there. Look at them, some big ones. They're swimming fast too. We're gonna miss them with that jig. Didn't see them in time. Oh, look right here. Look right here. Look right here. We're hooked up under the balloon rig. I'll be doggone, man. Y'all doubted this rig. I know you did. You doubted it. I got a couple of fish on it there in the winter. Back in January when I first started running it. And I knew as we got into spring, gotten some warmer water temperatures, especially when I started fishing shallower, wasn't sure today, at some point we was going to get on some of these fish that would eat this jig, and sure enough, here we got one. He's ate the jig too. He didn't eat the cut bait, he ate the jig. Blue cat. Ha ha ha. How about that, folks? How about that? Give me that thing back, fish. There we go. Yeah, folks. Boy, he's got the dang line. That Catfish Sumo bait stalker jig right there, man. Got us a small blue cat. It's another bite. I heard that dang line pulling back there behind us. I'm gonna adjust this balloon a little bit further up the line. These balloons I just tie on overhand knot. Slide it up there a little bit. Now let's send that back out. Well, that's exciting, folks. We had how long did we fish before we got that first one? 40, 45 minutes? And now 2 in a row. You don't let me forget to flip that bail over on the other rod. Good gosh, I can't count onions for nothing. Help a boy out here. You're supposed to be my fishing partners now. I'm gonna have to bait the hooks, reel them in, land them. Use my memory to remember to flip the bail over. One of these days, I'm gonna find one of you that's gonna help me out on here. That last time I put that balloon out after we got snagged, I hadn't run it real far behind me. We'll get out a little bit more line here and we'll put it back in that back rod holder. There was a school of something coming through though that I tried to drop that jig down on. I don't know what they were, but there was a few of them up there. I just couldn't get my jig down to them in time. It's a good thing that jig didn't get hit while I was down there. They'd have took off with the rod. Yeah, by gosh, how about that? 2 fish back to back. Neither one of them very big, but both of them had eat the artificial. That one, I think, ate the artificial and the cut bait. I think he was just super aggressive. Got one, come up and got the other, and then we hooked him. But either way, 2 bites, man. 2 bites, 2 fish landed. Oh, he still ain't got up here. We're seeing all this bait down here. I ain't seeing it right now, but we was. And we still ain't got up here though to this other creek where I really thought there might be some fish possibly stacked up out here, or at least hanging out in front of it. When I fish some creek mouths like that up there, I like to just anchor down or spot lock on them and sit there and wait on fish to move in and out. But lately, my better action has come doing this right here, dragging, covering some water. Got another one. Ooh, he's gonna pull a little bit, ain't he? This one's on the head. I told you, folks. Boy, he's pulling, man. I told you back there when I started seeing all that bait, I was like, we're gonna see some fish at some point around. You can't have that much bait on bottom without some catfish being nearby. You just can't. The big question we're going to have to ask ourselves here in a minute, after we reel this one in, is do we want to circle back or just keep going? If this is 3 fish now around that school, there's probably more. But if we keep going, we're going to cover more water and get up here and hit this next creek, and then the other creek up there beyond that. If we keep reeling up and circling back, we may not get to them. Oh man, this dang fish. You know what he's done? He come up the surface and got my other line over there with the balloon. Dadgummit. You just had to do it, didn't you, fish? You just had to get you a tangle. It may not be too bad yet. Yet being the key word. Let's see what I can do with this mess. We're also potentially going to get this head bait back, which would be nice. Won't you be good there? Oh, don't bite me now. You little ornery thing. We're going to switch that head out, but we're going to keep this one in case we end up needing it. Okay, he's got, look at all that mud on him right there. Just a dink, but ain't bigger than a Friday fart, but still, he's another bite. Let's see if we can get this mess here undone before it gets wrapped up even more. I don't think this one's going to be too bad. He just got that line right before he got up to the kayak. He knew what he was doing, didn't he? He knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to try to embarrass me on this video, make me look silly for putting out this third rod. He's tried. A better fish could have done it, but unfortunately for him, just like that, we got it undone. Let me find that other head. There it is. We'll just stick this one on. Have us a fresh head on there since we just cut it. And we'll throw the slightly used one out. I think we're going to keep going, y'all. Yeah, we've got 3 fish right here real quick, but the quality ain't been there. I'd rather go looking for quality than necessarily get more quantity. Although, I mean, these videos, I gotta have action to keep things entertained and all, but I'd rather have action for some bigger ones than what we're getting thus far. So where are we at? We're coming up on the hour. So we ended up, I mean, it started kind of slow, but we got 3 fish in less than an hour now. So I mean, that's just fishing. That's real world fishing, folks. I know my normal edited videos, I'll film an intro, tell you what I'm gonna be doing, show you the baits, and then the next clip you see is me reeling in a fish, and it looks like you just start getting bit right away and you just reel them in all day long. But in reality, you're gonna have stretches. When you're doing this style of fishing here, whether you're dragging a ledge or drifting a ledge, you just have stretches where there's no fish. Now, just because there's no fish today don't necessarily mean there won't be some fish there tomorrow, but they just, as they move along, they ain't there when you're going through. And so you have them stretches of time where you're just not getting bit, and then all of a sudden you go through some, multiple rods going down, you get on them, and then more time without it. But you don't see that in an edited video. It looks like it's just one after another because you're editing out all of those. I think it was one that got a little tap right there. But you're editing out all of that dead space. Whereas these style of videos, we're just, well, it's just like me and you out here fishing together today, man. We just sitting here shooting the bull, shooting the breeze, while we wait on the fish. I'm seeing some more bait. There was some more bait right there. And this right here, I believe, is a fish just right off the bottom. I'm gonna spin the transducer a minute. Yeah, there's some more. Yeah, there's some more shad up there. There's some more bait in this area here. Getting a little shallower now. We're 33 feet, but depth's going to be pretty consistent up here, 30 to 40 feet for pretty much the whole stretch. We may hit some deeper water once we get above the second creek up here. Probably drop down a little bit. I don't know how far away that is distance wise, if we're going to get to that area or not here before dark, but through this area it's going to be 30 to 40 feet deep. Somebody up there on that porch is watching me. They seeing a live show out here, y'all. It's one thing people eavesdrop on your conversations, but it's another thing when they peep and tom on you. You never know who's watching. I have people come up to me sometimes when I'm out in public and stuff. They recognize me from this YouTube nonsense, and they'll say hi, or sometimes they want a picture or whatever, or show me pictures of fish they've caught. And it happens, it's gotten to a point now, my channel's big enough, it happens fairly often. And because of it, I've kind of gotten a little bit of a complex in a sense. Like, even if I'm out somewhere, I just assume people are watching me. You know, if I was coming home from Alabama there from a tournament, and I stopped off at Buc-ee's. I went to the bathroom, and you know, if you've ever been to a bathroom at Buc-ee's, there's a million people in Buc-ee's all hours of the day. And the bathrooms in there are huge, and there's always a bunch of people in the bathrooms. And you walking through there to go spring a leak, and you just wonder, like, how many of these people recognize me? You know, who's walking behind me here? Like, oh, that's that guy from YouTube. They're standing there taking a leak, you know. You know, it's just complex about it. It ain't the people that walk up to you. It's the people that recognize you and don't come up to you that you gotta wonder, like, what are they thinking about you? What are they seeing? And people down there in Alabama is pretty good people. They got a poor selection of a football team. I don't know why they pull for Alabama. I mean, it don't make no sense to me. Crimson Tide, I mean, come on. They all about that roll tide. I think of Crimson Tide, I think of a woman on her cycle. I'm thinking maxi pads is what I'm thinking when I think Crimson Tide, but I imagine some of them will be switching. They've been on that bandwagon for 20 years since Saban had been there winning all the time, and now that he's gone, that old boy from Washington, I doubt he's gone, but he ain't gonna fill Saban's shoes. He'll do a fair job for about 3 years, and they'll can him for somebody else, pay him $50 million, $100 million to leave, and hire the next big thing. And now with this whole NIL stuff, when all these schools can pay, used to it was just the SEC schools slipping cash in a paper bag to these players at the church house, you know. Now that all these schools going to be able to do it, the Alabamas, the Georgias, they ain't gonna have as easy a time as getting these 5-star players every time. There's another fish. There's another school of bait right there on the screen. There's bait all up and down through here. I wonder if we get closer to that creek mouth, if we won't see more bait. I can tell, though, we've come out of all that rough stuff that we was dragging through, that debris and everything, because these dragging rigs are pulling. I'll say that and we'll get both snagged in a second, but they're pulling a lot smoother through here now. They just wasn't, even though there was all that stuff on bottom down there, we just wasn't getting bit there. It wasn't until we got above it and got on the schools of bait we started getting the cats. I sure wish I had me something to drink right now. I can't believe y'all let me leave my water in the car. It's a wonder I make it out alive today and be dehydrated and struggling to make it back. I'll need to be hydrating up before I go out to the desert and all that dry air out there. I may not survive anyway. I was at home there earlier and I noticed that the social media was down. Facebook was down again for a couple hours. It went down 2 or 3 weeks ago. It went down. Then before that, AT&T was down for half a day. I think it's these hackers and stuff getting in it, man. It's odd that Facebook's been down a couple times now. AT&T was down. They claim it's just internal updates or whatever, but I call bullarchy. I think it's the online people with computer skills that I don't have. That's what I think. They just doing little test runs and they're going to shut down our whole grid. And I'll tell you what, folks, when that happens, it's going to be zombie apocalypse, man. It's going to be like The Walking Dead. Everybody's going to turn on everybody when it happens. You know, Walking Dead was out in its heyday there a few years ago. It was a real popular show. Most of you probably watched it. Again, I was super into it for a while, and it ran too long. The show it was just moving too slow. It happens. You know, all them shows are like that. Walking Dead, Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad. I mean, I could go on and on and on with these shows. There's a lifespan. There's a shelf life. And the same way with YouTube channels. You got about 3 to 5 years where you're on top of the game, and then you kind of lose your voice. That fish went down and went off the screen. But Walking Dead had just kind of run its course, and boy, when it was hot though, it was a good show. And it was kind of a peek into, and I ain't saying when the electrical grid goes down or something, it's going to be a zombie land out here, but you watch and see if people don't turn on each other, because some grocery stores going to run out of food within a day or two. And when people get hungry, when their kids are starving, they going to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Civilization ain't going to be so civilized anymore. And we're going to be in a Walking Dead survival situation. And everybody that watched Walking Dead, everybody thinks they're going to be Rick Grimes. You know, Rick Grimes, if you didn't watch Walking Dead, Rick Grimes, he was kind of the main character. And he was this kind of moral, he was kind of the leader, kind of set the moral example, try to do right, try to do good. Everybody thinks they're going to be Rick Grimes in a survival situation, but in reality, you know what most people are going to be? They're going to be one of the zombies. They're going to be one of the dead people, because most of us ain't going to survive a true apocalypse type situation. We're going to be one of the zombies. And the people who do survive, there's going to be very, very, very few Rick Grimes. Somebody like me, you know, you play this game with yourself, like, which character would I be if I was on Walking Dead and I survived, like I wasn't one of the zombies? Like, who's relatable? Who could you be? As we get tapped right here. But me, he may have that. He's tugging on it a little bit. Wonder if he ain't got the fly, maybe. He ain't got nothing, apparently. You're just hitting it. But I think who I would most likely be in that scenario is I would be Shane. Shane was Rick Grimes' best friend. And when the show started, Rick Grimes was in the hospital. He was in a coma. Look right here. To be continued. We got another one on the balloon rig. Ain't that something? I threw this out thinking we probably wouldn't get anything on it. Now we got 2 fish on it. This one here's small. I can't tell what bait he's on. He's tiny. Another one here, it's about as big as the bait. He's actually ate the cut bait there. That wasn't very deep down in the water though. 4 foot, 6 foot deep. Fish, if you was on The Walking Dead, what character would you be? This fish here would definitely be one of the zombies. This fish, he ain't surviving. He ain't surviving no zombie apocalypse. Get out of here, you old thing. Thanks for leaving the bait on at least. That's kind of you. Yeah, let's send that back out just like it. But if I was a Walking Dead character, I'm pretty sure I'd be Shane. Shane, boy, these fish right here, I got one on this rod now. Let's just let that line go out and let's reel in this one. Let's ask this fish here what character he'd be. But Shane left Rick Grimes in the hospital, who was unconscious in a coma. And he goes on. Rick Grimes, of course, ends up waking up, finding his way back to his wife, who, come to find out, Shane had then got with. And Shane was kind of ruthless. Shane was gonna, it was kill or be killed. And he was gonna make sure that him and Lori, Rick Grimes' wife, was gonna survive, by gosh. And that's how I'd be. I'd make sure that I was eating and I was surviving. I think that's how most people would be. We can all pretend that we're holier than thou, Rick Grimes type, but in reality, when you're hungry, when your kids are hungry, when it's a situation where it's you or them, you're gonna do some things that you wouldn't necessarily do in a normal civilized society. That's just the way it is, folks. I had a friend, that's this in here, he's ate the cut bait. I think he's thrown it off the hook too. Dadgummit, fish. The word's out that we're short on bait, folks. Word's out on it. Every one of these fish gonna throw it off. I can't get this one to open his mouth. Won't you open up, fish? Open up. Oh, Lord. My pliers. The bass boat goes by. Goodness gracious. Now you got the stinger in the tail there, fish. You done, that's what you get for flopping around like that. Well, folks, there's another fish that's a dinkity doo-dah. We forgot to ask him who he'd be. He'd be another one of them zombies, probably. He ain't surviving. That fish right there, somebody would take everything he's got. Let's get us another bait on. Speaking of bait, there's a whole another school of bait right there under the dang kayak right now. But I worked with a guy several years ago, and he was in the National Guard during Hurricane Katrina. And, you know, Hurricane Katrina hit, and it was a survival situation basically for them people. They were kind of, the people that were there were kind of trapped. They didn't have supplies. They didn't really have a way in or out while everything was flooded, and truly survival situation. And that fella I worked with, man, he was like, we were dropping water down to them and food and supplies, and they were shooting at us. They were literally trying to shoot the people that was trying to help them. I'm like, well, that right there sums up survival situation, man. Absolutely sums it up. Like, that's what's going to go down. Let's feed them that free tail right there. I'll put that back in the cooler. If we got to use the tails today, it's pretty much game over for us. But that's how people are, man. People are just, they'll turn on you quick when it's you or them. And I'd be the same way. But the difference between me and most people is I don't deny it. I pretty much know how I would be. Now, I'd at least make sure Rick Grimes was dead before I tried to sleep with his wife, but still, if it was me or them, I'd make sure it was them, by gosh. At least if I could, anyway. I bet you we'd lose, though, man. If it was a situation where we lost power, and if you listen to some, and I'm a sucker for a good conspiracy theory. Like I go down the rabbit hole. And there's been a fear amongst a lot of these conspiracy theorists that there might be like an EMP attack on the United States where it would knock out a big chunk of our electrical grid. Which all of the electrical grid parts, here's another fish, we're getting more on them now. Ooh, this one's a better one. This one's a better fish right here. This one was taking some line, man. Yeah, we're just gonna keep going here, y'all. We're gonna stay on this path. There's all this bait down there. We've run into it. I bet you we might keep, as long as we're seeing this bait, we're gonna keep catching fish all the way up through here. For those of you that stuck with me through the first 40-45 minutes when we weren't getting bit, this right here now, we're at a point now where this is what you're trying to do when you're doing this style of fishing. You just covering water, you hoping to run into them, and we've done it. We've got on them here. I think this one here is going to be the biggest one of the afternoon so far. Yeah, first 40-45 minutes couldn't buy a bite, and now we're at what, just over an hour here. Now we've got several fish. I mean, it can turn quickly when you get on them. I'm gonna flip that bail over on the other line there. We'll get this fish landed, and then I'll go more about the EMP, electrical grid conspiracy theory. I really shouldn't listen to this stuff, because I mean, I go way down the rabbit hole on it. It probably ain't healthy, but I'm a sucker for it. And you watch and see, I got a 4.5 hour flight out there to Las Vegas. I'll be listening to it the whole way out there and the whole way back. This fish right here, though, he'll be, if the electrical grid gets knocked out, this fish won't be bothered at all, because he reads books by candlelight. He don't even need no internet or electricity or nothing. This fish right here, he knows how to hunt and how to grow a garden, so he can self-sustain. The rest of us are in trouble. Part of the issue here with getting this fish in is I'm still moving. I didn't hit spot lock or anything, so we're still going into the current here 1/2 mile an hour. That is a better fish, though. I got a glimpse of him. It's another blue. Definitely the biggest one of the afternoon easily here. Let's see what he eat. He's ate the cut bait. It's going to give us that head bait back too. This fish has got some manners. This fish here, let's find our glove. What'd y'all do with it? There it is. Oh, that thing's nasty. It's been down there on the bottom of my crate and my cooler. I had the cut bait from Alabama still in my cooler, and so it had been leaking all that blood and slime and oil and everything out my cooler and all over the back of my kayak. My kayak stinks right now. Luckily y'all ain't actually here in person to smell it. They ain't got no smell-o-vision on the YouTube yet. Oh man, this fish's face is wrapped up. And that line, he's gonna act out. Yeah, I know, fish. I know you mad at me. You're gonna get over it though. You're gonna get over it and you're gonna come in this kayak. I'm gonna give you some front camera time. That'll make your day, fish. Watch my rod here, fish. Don't be knocking it out or nothing. You old nasty fish. You know, big mouth he's got right there. He needs to brush his teeth. His breath stinks something terrible. We got that. There we go. Get that out the way. Oh, we may switch that head out in a minute. It's looking kind of rough. I'm gonna hold this one up. Y'all sit up here a second. I may stick y'all up there. I'll be nice, give this fish some front camera time. In the event we have an EMP attack and this fish don't ever get to see me again because I ended up a zombie, I want him to have his chance here. All right, y'all, business picked up, man. That's a better quality fish right there. We've been dinked up through here this little stretch, but there's clearly at least one better quality fish. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more too. What do you think about fish? You ready to get out of here? I'm gonna cut another head and put on there. You don't give a crap what I do. Get out of here, you little fish. That fish right there, he'd be Negan on The Walking Dead, too. He'd be. That's probably my favorite character in the whole show. We're gonna cut another bait though. That wind, boy, it's really kicked up right here. I'm still moving like half a mile an hour though. It's hitting us from the back. It's gonna spin the back end of the kayak around a little bit. Really need a drift sock when you got a tailwind, but I ain't got one with me. We're gonna make do. Let's put y'all back on the chest. Let's cut another head. I don't want to waste too much time here because we're going through some of these fish. Yeah, I tried to tell you, man. 40 minutes into this video and just didn't have anything going on. I was like, look, if you're seeing this, we clearly got on some fish, or else I wouldn't have posted it. Some of you probably didn't believe me and clicked off. Whoever clicked off done missed out. I'd let you reel in some of these fish too, but y'all can't be bothered to actually show up at the ramp here when I say we're leaving. You'd rather watch it after the fact. Yeah, that's another head bait there. We're gonna keep it. We may end up putting it back on. Every one of these skipjacks small. I wish I had me a bigger bait, but sometimes the bait fishing's easy and sometimes it ain't. And yesterday, well, just one of them days where it ain't. Put that back in the cooler. I gotta tell you about that cooler I'm thinking about getting to. I didn't think I got sidetracked when I was about to tell that story. Anyway, EMP. Basically, the fear is that somebody attacks us with one from outer space possibly, or just inside the United States, takes out our electrical grid. All chaos breaks loose because we got no electricity. Everything's shut down. The grocery stores be out of food in a day or two. Once the food's gone, the clean water's gone, internet's gone, police, fire, hospitals, nobody's showing up. I mean, it's just chaos going on. Everybody turns on each other. I bet you we'd lose. And I think I heard a statistic on this. I don't remember who had put the statistic out. The government, CIA, FBI, I don't know. But I think it was like 90% they estimated would die if we had an extended period of time without electricity. Now, I believe it, man. It's because you got to figure all the people that's reliant upon medication, people that need their heart meds, diabetes medicines, anybody that needs oxygen. Like I mean, it's, you know, and it's sad to say that, but it's just fact. Then people that can't defend themselves or their homes, they're next, because you're going to have these, just like on The Walking Dead, you're going to have these factions form. Friends, families, you know, small groups that are going to have to go out and going to have to get supplies for their people and their kids and whatnot. It'll be the strong survive type scenario. Let's throw at this fish right here. We may get a chance at this one. He's about 20 feet down, and I think we're gonna have a chance at this one, folks. Oh, come on, does he see it? I don't see him anymore. I don't see my jig either, it's behind us. Yeah, had a chance at that one, blew it. Boy, this wind has come out of nowhere, man. I mean, it don't look like it on the water, but it's really picked up. I can feel it. Y'all may hear it on the microphone possibly at some point. I've got my back kind of blocking it for now, but y'all may hear it at some point. I hope it calms down a little bit. But yeah, y'all, that's a fear amongst a lot of the conspiracy theorists, is that we're going to lose our electrical grid and all those parts, the transformers and everything to operate our electrical system here in the United States. Guess where all that stuff's made? China. And they've been having all them people come through the borders down there. CBS 60 Minutes, they did a story recently, as we got another fish right here hitting. Let's see if he's got it. Yeah, he's got it. Got another one on. Y'all gonna be facing the wind now. CBS 60 Minutes did a story recently about all them Chinese military age men coming through the border down there. And so, you know, again, the conspiracy theory is you get basically the Chinese military here inside the United States, tens of thousands of them. Then you shut off our power and they take over. I mean, I don't want a bunch of political crap down there in my comment box. We don't do that on this channel, so I ain't trying to turn it into that. But I'm just saying, conspiracy theory wise, that's something you got to think about. But bottom line is 90% of us, and I'm probably one of them, an apocalyptic situation just ain't going to survive. So just the way it is, unfortunately. But you can better believe I'm gonna be like Shane on The Walking Dead until I go out. That's how it's going. Oh, here's another one on the fly, folks. Old fly fish right there. Come here, fish. I feel like we about 50-50 at this point, from artificials to cut bait, but my math ain't very good, and I don't even know how many fish exactly we've caught to this point. Oh, that hook's in there good too, fish. Lord, we've pulled the hook out, but the fly hair got pulled through the hole in his mouth. Good. He's got, I was trying to show you that mud on his side there, but he was embarrassed that he was on camera without having taken a bath today. He left the bait on, so we'll just drop it back down. Yeah, that fish right there hadn't bathed today, and he is all embarrassed about it. He didn't know he was going to see anybody when he got out. That's how it goes. You don't fix your hair, you're going to run into somebody you know at the store. So anyway, y'all, that's conspiracy Walking Dead stuff for you. all doom and gloom on this channel, you know. They'll be the people that survival skills, some of them will make it. The hot women, they'll make it because the men will take them in. If you an ugly woman, buddy, you better know how to camp and cook and survive, because they're gonna be having a hard time finding a man to take them in. I feel bad, you know, in a survival situation. And I was thinking about this a while back. You think about the old days where you didn't have electricity and running water and stuff. I imagine people stunk back then. You know what I mean? Like, if you ain't bathed in weeks, the BO on people, man, I bet it was rancid. But you didn't have as many people back then. So I would say, you know, a woman who's a 10 is a 10, whether she's bathed or not. But some of them uglier ones are going to be even more ugly when they ain't bathed in 2 weeks or a month. So them poor women's gonna have a hard time if they can't survive on their own, because I don't know how they're gonna get a man to take them in. But the good looking women, it'll be a survival situation, be just like real life for them now. Some man will take care of them. They just won't have TikTok to play on anymore because they won't have no internet. They'll just have to set up their phone that don't work and pretend to do their dances in front of it. It wouldn't hurt my feelings though, you know, when Facebook got taken out there today, I don't mind it at all, because I don't like these social media. And I know I'm a walking contradiction in so many ways, because I'm doing social media for a living right now. But yet I say, and I truly mean, like, I hate social media. So, you know, I know I'm a hypocrite saying this, but it don't hurt when Facebook goes down for several hours, Instagram gets knocked out for hours. I don't mind at all. I wouldn't mind if them platforms disappeared permanently. When social media first started, and it was just kind of a way to interact with your friends and stuff, it was kind of nice, especially somebody, you take like me for instance. I was a travel nurse for a long time, so I'd go and I'd work somewhere. Most travel nurse contracts typically 13 weeks on average. So I'd go and I'd work somewhere 13 weeks. Sometimes you extend to another contract, but you make some friends over that 3 to 6 month period, and then you leave and you don't, you know, you're hours away from them. You don't ever see them again. And so social media is kind of a way to keep in touch, keep in contact with the friends you made that are a long distance away. So it's great from that aspect. But where it's gotten to now, where it's just people arguing and fighting and complaining all the time, and all these fake accounts and robots and stuff getting on there and just trying to instigate stuff. And here's a fish, buddy. Oh boy, look at that one go, man. He's taking line. He's taking line. He's still taking line. This is a good one. This is a good one right here, buddy. We had just flipped that bail over too, man. That bait had just started moving. I apologize about the wind noise. This fish has turned us right into that wind. Oh, it's really kicked up. It's gonna be another good one. He's turned now. He's coming at me on the chunk. Them small skipjack, buddy, we making them count. We may end up running out before we run it. We may run out of bait before we run out of daylight today. The pace we're on. That wouldn't hurt my feelings. I'd rather run out of bait because I caught a bunch of fish than to have a bunch of bait and go home with a full cooler because I couldn't use it to catch nothing with. And this fish has been swimming right at me here. He peeled off all that line and then turned and come right back. I think it's gonna be a pretty good one though. Yeah, if you watched the first hour of this video, you were bored out of your mind. You watched the second hour of this video, there's been quite a bit of action here. We've about got this fish here under us. Look here, I see him on the screen right here, y'all. Look at him right there. He's about 25 feet down. He was in and out of the screen, but that was him. Let me see if I can turn that transducer around here. I don't want to fool with it. I was going to try to get him back on the screen. I'll end up losing him if I play around with that. I need to just get him up here to the surface and then we can get a look at him. It's going to be a good one though. Be curious to see if this one's bigger than that last big one there, but we're getting up here now almost to where this other creek comes in. And, you know, again, this is where I thought we'd maybe get on some fish, some better quality fish. And we've had bait all the way up and down this ledge right here, man. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited to see this one. If y'all's a fishing partner worth of crap, you'd have brought a net or something. Y'all didn't bring nothing. Couldn't even bring me a cup of water out here. I'm thirsting to death right now. Can't even get you to give me a cup of water or a can of Coca-Cola. I'm more of a Pepsi guy these days anyway. Goodness, this fish says he don't like people who like Pepsi. Yeah, I saw a tail right there. It's a blue. It's a good one. That's a good one, folks. Yep, that's bigger than the last one. Quality getting better for us here, y'all. I'm gonna stick this, let's stick this rod here with the jig on it behind us, get it out the way. This one ain't quite ready to come in yet. We're gonna tire him out a smidge here. I don't want him coming in here flopping around acting a fool. You get a fish in a kayak that's got some weight to him and he starts going crazy on you, they can do some damage, man. Knock some stuff out the kayak, break some mounts. Through the years, I've lost all kinds of stuff overboard because the fish hit it with their tail and it went flying. Let's give us a little slack here. What do you think about fish? You want to come in here and tell the world hi? Okay, I'm gonna give you some front camera time now. Yes, sir. I don't even mind you throwing the bait off, fish. You're worth it. Nice, y'all. Look at that, buddy. That's a pretty good fish. Let me set you up here in the front mount again. That thing's crooked as all get out. There we go. Hold yourself up, fish. Nice. Nice fish, y'all. Nice. Several bites. We've got the quantity. Now we're starting to get some quality. That makes me happy, y'all. Oh, that's awesome. This fish don't think it's awesome. He ought to be wore out the way he was pulling line there to start with. Look at the wind's blowing there, blowing his fin around right there. This is probably the first time the fish has ever felt the wind. We take for granted the little things in life, like feeling the wind on your face. This is probably the first time the fish has ever felt wind in his life. What do you think about it? You don't know what to think about it. Get out of here then. There he goes, he gone. That right there, fist pump worthy, y'all. That makes me happy. All right. Well, we'll just keep on this path, man. We're still seeing some bait there on the screen. We're getting up here now almost to this creek mouth. So I definitely want to pull past this creek and see if we're still seeing the bait before we make any changes to what we're doing. Now, if we get on past this creek and we're not seeing the bait anymore and we're not getting bit, well, then we'll reel up and we'll go back down there about where we started catching the fish and pull through this area again. But right now, with the bite still continuing and the quality getting better, I just want to keep doing what we're doing. So let me get the camera back in the chest here, and we'll pull out another bait and cut this. I'll tell you the cooler story too while we cut our next bait up here. I was at the academy the other day. I was looking for me some more pants, some fishing pants. While I was down there in Florida, I ripped one of my other pairs. I was going to get me some new ones, and I noticed while I was in there, Academy, they sell Yeti coolers. They have UT orange Yeti coolers now. And you know, I don't need another cooler, especially don't need a cooler that costs as much as the dang Yetis do. But I'm a sucker for UT orange, and I gotta admit, man, them UT orange Yeti coolers were looking dang good. And so I start trying to justify in my head of why I should possibly get one, even though I know I don't need one. In hindsight, in reality, in hindsight, let's let the line out on that. If I had a do-over, I would have got a bigger cooler for sure. The one I got on this kayak right now is a 35 size, and I got it because it was on sale at the time, and I knew it would fit. But I've got space on each side over here. Like, I could have got a bigger one. And these coolers, even though they're huge, you open up inside there, the inside ain't very big on them coolers. So I wish I'd got a bigger one. So I'm trying to justify in my head why I should just get a bigger cooler now with UT orange. And I'd take that one there, my 35 size, and I'd put it in my pedal kayak, because that size right there fits perfectly in my Old Town kayak in the rear tank well. So if I hit the jackpot out there in Las Vegas, if that Wheel of Fortune machine, and I like playing a wheel, that's the only slot machine I play is a Wheel of Fortune. But if old Vanna White says Wheel of Fortune, and then I hit a big jackpot, I'll probably have me one of them UT orange. Probably get like the Roadie 48 or the Roadie 60, because it ain't as wide. I mean, it's a little bit wider than that one, but it's taller. That's probably the one I'll get. But y'all, if I hit that jackpot, y'all, it's gonna happen. Or if I win the tournament down there on Chickamauga next month, I may take Ryan Bort's entry fee and put it toward. I'll have to use his entry fee and a couple other people's to buy that dang cooler, but I may use their money to buy it. Man, that wind, y'all, I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone or not, but it's picked up here in the last hour. It's either picked up or we're just at a point where it's hitting us. But it wasn't blowing like this when I left the house. We're gonna ride it out though. We're kind of crooked. I got the speed control set on that motor, so it tries to keep us at 0.5 mile an hour right now. So if the wind's pushing us fast, it'll slow down turning the prop. But when it does that, the back end of the kayak wants to spin around. So I need a drift sock out, that's what I need, but I ain't got one with me. So we're just going to end up kind of cattywampus here. Or we could drag faster, which I don't really want to do because the speed we're moving is working. We're getting bit at this speed, so I don't want to change that. But we could move faster and it would straighten us back out. Or here's another option for us. Because the current's moving so light today, the current's under about a half a mile an hour. We could drag with the current possibly. You know, go up here and come back the other way into the wind with the current. Say the current's going 0.2, 0.3 and we were going 0.5, it would keep our rigs. Typically, I don't like dragging with the current because unless you're going significantly faster than the current, your baits get pushed up and wrapped up along there with your dragon sinkers. And so I like going against the current when I'm dragging, but if this wind keeps up like this and if it gets worse, we're gonna have to change something up that we're doing here. Hopefully it'll die down in a minute. We're right here now. See, this is where this creek comes in right here. Now, I've caught a lot of good fish different times of year. This is the first time I fished this section of the river since last fall, I guess last August, September, but I've caught a lot of good fish here at the old original creek mouth that was here before they made the reservoir. So, and you get a creek mouth, man, I don't care if it's what day of the week, 7 days a week, 365. You get a big creek, one of these big feeder creeks, like there's always going to be some fish hanging out and moving in and out of those creeks. There ain't never a bad time to fish them, ever. That's one of the things I tell new people. When I get people reaching out asking for advice and stuff, I'm like, pull up your contour map, pull up your lake map. If you got creeks and whatever lake or river or reservoir you're fishing, if you got tributaries feeding in, fish those. Because it just ain't a bad time to do it. I think we got a fish here. We're looking right into the sun. Something was tapping it there. I don't want to turn you that way for long because you'll get all that wind noise on the camera. If we get a monster, it'll probably come on that rod because it's going to want to wreck the audio on this thing. I noticed one of my wind muff pieces here on the camera has come loose, so I'm gonna have to fix that back, but I can't do it out here right now. Always something to be fixed, you know. Always something. Getting that time of year though, we can actually tolerate the temperature outside to be able to fix some stuff. When I get back from Las Vegas, I'm gonna have to mow my yard. I don't mind mowing, especially now that I got my new mower. I got that zero turn there last fall, and mowing my yard now is kind of fun, so I don't really mind it, but it does seem kind of early to be mowing this year. But this warm weather we've had has got the grass growing. I got me a raised bed garden built. I used to till up a big area on the side of my house, and then my neighbors kind of ruined that for me because they moved in and they're trashy and stuff, and so I got away from gardening the last couple of years. But this past fall I built me a raised bed garden, and so I sold my tiller when I got back from Alabama. I listed it online and it sold. And the next day I had multiple people reaching out, and I had a Cub Cadet RT65 model, and I bought that thing about 10 years ago or so, somewhere about there. I think I got it in 2013, 2014, maybe 2015. It's a long time ago. Oh, there's one. This fish here, he heard me talking about garden tillers and he got excited. Man, he couldn't resist biting. But I bought that thing used when I got it. It was an older gentleman I had bought it from. He said his health had kind of declined and it was just too much tiller for him to deal with. And so he sold it to me for $500. And y'all know how it is, man. Inflation and all, everything's going up in price significantly in the last 10 years. And now that tiller today, it's worth as much as what it was when I paid for it back then. So I sold it. I listed it for $600, and I ended up letting the fella knock me down to $500, which is what I ultimately wanted. You can't just put the price you want on something online. You gotta price it higher so people can knock you down and feel like they're getting a deal on it. But I basically used that tiller for the last 10 years for free, because I bought it for $500, used it the last decade, and sold it for $500. Oh man, is this fish throwing the bait off? Listen, fish, if you're gonna be that small, you gotta give that bait back. Oh, he's still in there, it's in his mouth. Another bite. Come here, fish. We taking that bait back, fish. Yep, you're gonna give it back to us now. There he is, folks. A little old thing, but splashed me in the face too. I got some of that water in my mouth. Send that back out. I'll check the screen, see if he splashed y'all too. Out it goes. Yeah, my tiller, it's gone. I'm gonna go the raised bed route this year. I got a 4-foot by 20-foot bed made. I had some center blocks. Let's see if he got y'all wet on the screen there. Boy, he did. He splashed us good, didn't he? Let's see if we can get that. There you go. I knew. I'm glad he got y'all too. If I'm gonna get splashed in the face, I want y'all to get splashed in the face too. But I got me a raised bed garden there. It's 4 foot wide, 20 foot long. And I was cleaning out some stuff there in the fall behind my shed, and I'd had some center blocks, and I took them blocks and I had to buy a few more. But I've made it 2 center blocks in height, so I don't have to bend over as far in this bed. And it's allowed me to, I'm hoping to do is kind of make that soil, make the soil there a little better. So I put down, I had some old firewood, because I got a fire pit there at the house. It was rotted, and so I put down a layer of it on bottom, and I put some topsoil down. I'd had some topsoil brought in last fall too to fill some holes in my yard, and I bought way too much. So that's really what prompted me to do this raised bed garden, because I had all that extra dirt I needed to do something with. But I put the wood down, and then a layer of topsoil, and then another layer, a couple inches of just old leaves, another layer of topsoil, and then I'm gonna have, when I get back from Vegas, I'm gonna have some compost brought in and fill up like the last 8 inches or so of that raised bed garden, and then I'm gonna mix it in with the topsoil there and everything, and hopefully grow just a few vegetables this year. Every year in the past that I've grown a garden, I've always grown way too much. You get the big eye in the spring there, and you want to plant everything, and then come June, July, you getting so many vegetables you can't eat them all. You end up giving them away. I saw a fish on the screen was about to go after with this jig, but he's gone. But anyway, you end up giving away all them vegetables, or you compost them, and I'm like, I just don't need all this stuff. I need me 2 or 3 tomato plants. I need me 4 or 5 pepper plants, some cucumbers, and some peas. And I like planting sunflowers because, well, I just like sunflowers. In the past, I eat a lot of zucchini and squash and stuff too, but they're so cheap to buy. Yeah, they just take up so much space in a garden. Like, I'm not going to plant the zucchini and squash. And another thing I ain't going to plant this year is watermelon. In years past, I always plant watermelon, which y'all know how them vines are. I mean, by July, August, they've taken over everything. And I end up growing all these dang watermelons, and you eat so much watermelon, you get diarrhea because you just can't stop. And really, I only need about 1 or 2 watermelons a year. That's about all I want, really. So I'm just gonna go buy them. Their watermelons cost about $4 there in the summer months, and I'm just gonna spend about $8 and buy me a couple watermelons when I want them, instead of using all that space in the garden to grow them. So just gonna put out that raised bed, just grow what I'm gonna eat. It won't take me very long to maintain it, because I may even put some cardboard down or something, some liner down there around the plants to keep the weeds in control, but it won't take me long to hoe it anyway. No bigger than it is. But that's all I'm gonna do. Once we get past hopefully get past where the frost to be done there, I'm gonna get some stuff planted. And I've got on one end down there, I've got a trellis built with a couple fence posts and some fencing material. And what it's going to allow me to do is grow them cucumbers and them peas vertically. Oh, there's 2 fish right there, man. I saw them late. But it's going to allow me to grow them vertically, and so they won't take up all that space with them vines either. So I'm going to be able to plant quite a bit for that garden, or for that space in the garden, but be hopefully just what I need and not a bunch of excess that just gets given away or thrown. And when I say given away, it's pretty much just me begging people to take it. It's how it's been in years past, because I got so much. But the only thing I ain't been able to grow very successfully is corn. I just never had I just don't think I had a good soil for growing corn, for whatever reason. My corn never got tall, and the ears never got good on it. Which again, corn's another one of them things that's very cheap. So it's like, why are you spending all that real estate in the garden growing it when you can pick it up for nothing? There's a boat in that creek behind us there. We're still seeing a bunch of bait right here. Right now, where the kayak sits, right now I'm gonna take a camera and show you here. Right here, this is where that old creek over here beside us, the original creek mouth, come out. And here's all this bait right here off the bottom edge of it right there. The bait starts about 25 feet deep, and we're in 36 feet of water right here. But it's just all down in through there. And we've been getting them cats right there along the bottom. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, the ones that's hit that balloon rig that we're running there, probably on top of the schools of bait that we've come across. That was one of the things I saw there last year, was that when I was seeing big schools of bait like that last winter, right here's one right there. Boy, he's almost under us right there, about 10 feet under the kayak right now. But you'd see fish like that would be hanging out on top of the schools of bait. So we're just going to keep the course going right now. As long as the wind don't get no worse than it is, we're going to be able to manage our speed and everything. And we're just going to keep working up this ledge as long as we're seeing bait and as long as we're getting bit. If we stop getting bit, we stop seeing bait, we'll make a decision. Do we want to turn and come back down, drag back with the current and against the wind down through here? Or do we just make a run back where we started getting bit and then come through it again? I'll let y'all decide that when the time comes. But if we can continue getting bit here and we're seeing bait, I'd like to stay the course, because obviously we got this creek here that our baits are going to be coming by here in a minute or two. And then on up here, and again, I'm terrible with distances. It's probably half mile or so up through here. There's another creek on the left up here that comes in. And it's a shallower creek. It's definitely not as long as this one over here to our left. And I'll show you this over here. You can see where that boat's going in over there. This creek over here, it's got 2 branches to it. But the other creek up there, it's significantly shallower and it's not as long. And with our water level being down right now for winter drawdown, there may not be much going on in that creek. Usually they raise our water level here like mid-April, I think, memory serves me. Water level fluctuates a lot this time of year, just depending on if we're getting rain or not, how much rain we're getting. But when they raise it up to summer pool, it's usually April-ish But I'd like to see what's going on between here and there. If there's some fish just kind of hanging out, working this area between these two creeks. There's clearly a lot of fish right here below this creek, and I have to believe they're probably working in and out of it. It may not be a terrible idea. Of course, we ain't gonna have time to do it today with where we're at in the afternoon, but we're getting to that time of year now. As the water temperatures start to warm up, you're going to see a lot more fish moving back in the shallows. And so I wouldn't mind spending a little time where we just go to the back of one of these creeks, just back our dirt shallow, and pull our way out. But it's hard to do that when we're getting bit out here and we're seeing all this bait down there on the bottom edge of this ledge. It's hard to leave all that to go back in there and see what's going on in the shallows. And it was like that down there too. When I went down to Alabama, I spent some time that you didn't see on video, on any of the videos there in the shallows, because there wasn't no fish caught in the shallows. There wasn't nothing for me to show. But on my pre-fishing days, there was one day, well, the day I got the one fish, the day I got skunked, I'd fished super deep. I went to Wilson and I'd went on that deep ledge, the deepest part, the deepest hole on Wilson. I'd dragged that ledge all the way back up, and that's where I got skunked. But there was another day I hit 3 different spots, and I'd only caught 1 total fish between all of them. But one of the places I hit was a creek, and I had made a long run back in this creek and fished shallow and just went all the way from the back of that creek out toward the car, and couldn't get anything going back there. And I'd filmed a video, another unedited catfish video, before I went to Alabama, and I had launched in a creek, and I'd had the lime scope transducer down as I went out, just looking to see what I'd see on the way out through there. And I ended up fishing a ledge that day. Some of y'all saw that video, I'm sure. But I didn't see anything in the creek on the way out through there, and I went across a flat before I dropped off the ledge, and I wouldn't see anything on that flat either. But when I went over the ledge, it was just like we're seeing today, where you start seeing fish, start seeing bait. So I just don't think it's really time yet necessarily that a lot of these fish are going to be up in the shallows, but it's coming. It's coming. As it gets warmer, they're going to see more and more of them up there. Well, one hitting there. Our bait should be about at that creek mouth now. We're getting a little bit off course here. I'm trying to get us back to the left. Try to get us back on that brake line. Brake lines are your friends. If you're a cat fisherman and you're on the move, brake lines are your friends, folks. I can't emphasize that enough. I'm a Buck Perry guy when it comes to fishing. I know he's a bass fisherman. A lot of people in the catfish world don't take his teachings very seriously. But when I started following the contours and applying what he did for bass to catfish, man, it changed things big time for me. I started catching more fish. I started catching big fish more frequently. It's just all about precision. It's working them brake lines, man. Putting your baits where the fish are. In the catfish world, we got a fish on is what we got. Look at him go now. Okay, let's reel in another one. Oh crap, look at here, we got our jig caught in that line. What are we doing here? Y'all get your jig, get your jig off the line. We got a fish to reel in. Oh man, he's wrapped a we got a blooper going on here, folks. This jig is wrapped around my line multiple times. I had that pole sitting in the back rod holder. Lord almighty. Folks, I tell you, if y'all, why'd you have that rod sitting like that for? I gotta stand up and get hold of this thing. I can't take you nowhere. You know, look what you have done now. Boy, it's like when I take you ultralight fishing and you cast into a tree. Well, let's hope that fish is still on and we get this mess undone right here. I don't even know what's happened here. He's got this thing wrapped around so many times. We're about to cut this thing is what we're about to do. Lord, folks, this is a dang nightmare right here. I think, okay, we got it. I done got you and unhung now. Let's see if we can, well, I said it and then we got it hung again. What is going on? Okay. Lord mighty, y'all. I can't take you nowhere. I can't take you nowhere without you getting hung and everything. Okay. Thankfully, this fish is patient. He wanted his camera time, so he's willing to let us get done what we need to do. Dang old fish. I had that thing just sitting there, and that fish ran the line over, and it did loop-de-loops every which way over it. This fish don't feel too bad either. He wasn't stripping drag, but he don't feel bad. It's been I mean, to start out with, I was concerned we was not going to do very good today between the way it was yesterday trying to get bait and the fact we didn't have very much bait today and not very big baits. I was concerned that today was just going to be one of them days where it wasn't going to work out for us, but then we got bit and we got bit again, and we just kept getting bit all the way up through here. And I think this one bit right here in front of this creek mouth, which, I mean, we seen all that bait right there stacked up in front of it. So you can't have that much bait without some catfish around. They gonna hang out with that bait, man. That's an easy meal for them. They're gonna follow them around. There's probably some bass and stripers and everything else around them too. I mean, everything's gonna follow that bait when they're schooled up like that. This feels like a good fish. He ain't really fighting so much. I mean, I feel like I'm just pulling weight, but it feels like I'm pulling quite a bit of weight. Unless we got him foul hooked, maybe. They always feel bigger when they foul hooked, and you pull them in sideways, and we got a double. We got a double right there. Can't do nothing about it. Got to deal with the one in the hand. Here's what I can do, though. We're going to do that right now. We're going to spot lock right here. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that, though. Let me just come off that. That was stupid. Why'd you let me do that? Because if I spot lock, we're going to turn around right into the wind. We'll have that other line behind us wrapped around our whole body. What a mess. We go from having a jig wrapped around our line to having the line wrapped around us. No, he's got the bait in his mouth. He was just pulling, man, or letting me pull him. Let's set him back while we deal with this other one. Is this one still on? Yeah, he's still on there. He'd come toward us a little bit. Yeah, it was. Oh, I think he just come free. I felt him come free just then. Yeah, that was dumb, y'all. We about had a mess with that back line. I'm gonna reel this one in. We'll make sure our bait is still on. And then I'm gonna get us back on the move and we'll land this one. Yeah, we need to redo this bait here. I'll tell you what. Let's put on one of them other heads. That one there is looking kind of blanched out. Let's land this one and we're gonna get everything sorted out here, folks. Like I said, if you was really my fishing partner and wanted to help out, you'd done landed this fish right here and done have our next bait cut. This fish here, his head's bigger than his body. You need to eat you something, fish. Get you a bologna sandwich or something. He's got mud all over him too, buddy. I bet you these fish, and this is why I wanted to fish the afternoon. This is exactly why I wanted to fish the afternoon, because I thought these fish would be more likely to be turned on today in the afternoon than what they would be in the morning. But look at this, man. Look at the mud down his tail right there. He's been down there buried in it, folks. I think that front yesterday just had everything kind of shut down. Open up here. Oh, he's ate it kind of deep. This is the second fish. That first one ate it kind of deep too. I'm gonna have to cut this one, folks. I hate doing this, but he's ate it too deep for me to get it. That first fish of the day was questionable, but I was able to get it out. But this one's so deep, I can't get my pliers down there to get it. So I've cut my fly loose and I cut my line. We'll put a new rig on that. Hopefully he'll be okay. I've caught fish with hooks in them before. They seem to do okay, but I hate doing that to fish. But it's just, if I try to get it out, I'm gonna injure him. Sorry, fish, sorry about your luck. Your head's bigger than your body though. He'll fill out a little more before long. You better anyway, fish. I want to catch you again someday. Best of luck with that hook, buddy. He got him a souvenir. That's what he got. We got some work to do now. We need to tie another rig on. We need to tie another rig on. We need to cut a bait. So let's get y'all back in the chest here while we do that. I hate that about that fish, man. I try to get them out best I can, because it's just, you know, I don't want to, I take out a bunch of skipjack, you know, my bait fish. I don't mind them, but pulls on my heartstrings a little bit to hurt a catfish. That first one we hooked today, man, he had that fly deep in his mouth there, but I was able to get it. But that one there, I couldn't get the size of that fish. I couldn't get the pliers down to the hook to even attempt it, and I was afraid it just wouldn't be a good idea. Cut this off, we'll retie, cut another bait, and then we'll be back in the game. I need another story to tell while I retie. I don't even remember what I was talking about before that fish hit. I need something to tell you as a story or a joke or something to keep you entertained while I retie. Alright, there's that. Let's clip our sinker back on. These sinkers, man, I'm telling you, I ain't trying to sell you nothing, because, you know, that ain't really my nature, but these sinkers that I make here, I think they're the best. And the fact that y'all have seen me drag with these sinkers so much now, and seen just how few of these sinkers that I'll lose, and I don't think I'll jinx it for sure, but I don't think I've lost one of these sinkers in over a year or more. I don't think I have, folks. And I've used these sinkers, man, all over the dang country. I was dragging with them up there in Ohio on Hoover and Sandusky Bay for our tournaments last year. I won that tournament on Kerr Lake dragging with them. I just had them down there in Alabama this past weekend. I mean, I've had them all over. They pull through cover really well. And like I said, unless you get into some brush and get you hook snagged in the wood, you just don't lose them. Now, if I was like one of these planer board guys and I was running 10 rods and planer boards out everywhere and couldn't go back and get baits, well, then you're going to have to break off, because you ain't got time to reel everything in. But again, like I do my setups here with 2 rods, or 3 today if you count that one on the balloon rig going off the back, it just ain't a real time consuming endeavor to go back and get everything, you know. So it's, why break off just to break off? You go back and get it and get your rig. And these rigs, I mean, they take a little time to tie. These sinkers, they take a little time to make, but I made so many there a few years ago. I actually sold most of them at the Catfish conference a few years back when I went. One fella, he bought every single one. I took a 5-gallon bucket just full of them, stuffed full of them up there. He bought every single one that I'd made, but I still had a bunch in the shed there at the house, man. I've got basically a lifetime supply of sinkers that I've made, and I promise you, I got a lot less money in my sinkers than what you're going to pay for them if you buy them pre-made. Now, it's a little, I mean, you got to spend a couple hours of your time making them things, but once you do, no more often than you're going to lose them. I mean, you're good, man. You just spend you an afternoon, make you a bunch of them, and you're pretty much set for the next few years on dragon sinkers, maybe longer, depending on where you fish at and whatnot. Well, let's get ourselves reset here. We're gonna get everything, speed control and all that set again. We got all discombobulated there with that fish because of me hitting the spot lock. Y'all shouldn't let me do that. Okay, let's start setting out some line here on these things. Get ourselves back in the game. I got blood all over my fingers here. I don't know if that's my blood or the fish's. Could go either way. All right, folks. Let me stick my float and my fly here. Stick it back down in the hatch. I'll reuse those supplies. Here's another tip I'll give you right quick, and I talked about this in my sinker book, because my sinker, that link down there, it's basically a step-by-step instruction manual on how to make those sinkers, all the supplies you need, how to do it, yada yada yada. But I also talk about my rigs, and I'll give you this tip here on these peg floats. A lot of people, they don't like using peg floats. They'll use them spooks or whatever, bass lures, you know, because they claim they last longer. These styrofoam peg floats, they claim they can't get any use out of them. They just pop off the rigs. What you do, these are called Carolina keepers right here. They're basically clamps. You squeeze them with pliers and you slide them on your line, and they hold stuff in place. I'm gonna pull these back a little bit here if I can so you can see. These plastic pieces, what people mostly do, they'll wedge that peg float or the line through the peg float here, and they'll put that plastic piece kind of wedging the line into the peg float. So then when the fish hits and you're fighting it and all that pressure and thrashing around on that line, what it's doing is it's tearing this part open on the styrofoam. So they pop off during the fight and you lose them. What I do, and this is another little time consuming step, but when you do this, you'll never lose these styrofoam peg floats ever again. I take a drill, I get me some pliers and I clamp on them plastic pieces, and I take a drill bit and I drill out a hole down the middle of them. Then when I'm making my rigs, I run my line through that, poke a hole through the styrofoam. There's usually, like, it's open here and then there'll be a solid styrofoam mill. Take like a skewer, poke the hole through there so you can run your line through this through the styrofoam to the other side, and then there's another one down in there too that's popped up there this time, but I run it out through another one of those basically, put my rattle on, another Carolina keeper. Now I can run these styrofoam peg floats, man. I can run them till I need a new rig basically, and not have them pop off the line. You don't lose them. And these things, man, these peg floats, way cheaper than them spooks. And your line is going from your swivel up here down to your hook. When you're using them spooks, a lot of times you've got the line going to the, whatever them things are called, the line keepers, guides, whatever they are, on the ends of the spooks. So that's just one more thing that could possibly fail on your rig, and so I don't have that with these. Anyway, again, I ain't trying to tell you what to do or anything, but that's how I do it. That's why I do it. And I can buy these cheap peg floats and do the same thing that you're spending $4 or $5 for on them spooks that I can do for a quarter. On a 3-inch peg float, when you're dragging, let's say you got a big skipjack head, that float will float that bait, but when you're moving in, when you're moving, the water resist. I gotta flip these bales over. Lord Almighty, look at this, y'all. We've lost half the line on the reels. I was sitting there talking to y'all. I'm gonna reel some of that in. We don't need to be dragging that far behind us today. Y'all let me done forget to do that. Lord Almighty, y'all. It's a wonder I remembered it all. I've done that before where I forget about it and get down to the bottom of my reel. But that peg float will float your bait up, and then when you're moving through the water dragging, you're gonna just have the resistance, water resistance on the bait. It's gonna help keep it up off the bottom too. So 3-inch peg float's plenty for the size of the bait. Definitely the size of the bait we're using today, because these baits are small. But even if you're using like a big skipjack size bait of the size of your hand, 3-inch peg float's plenty. Here's what I think we're gonna have to do though, y'all. Man, this dang wind has got us sideways here because it keeps picking up. I think we're about to reel everything in and go the other way. I think that's what we're gonna have to do, y'all, because this wind has got us, it's got us, the kayak's sideways right now. It just keeps picking up. It wasn't that bad at all when we first started, but the last hour, hour and a half, it has really picked up, and we're getting a little chop on the water now. Let's do that. You want to? We'll put everything out. I don't want to make the run up here for no more time left than we got to fish. I really don't want to run up to the next creek, but we will. We'll just pull back through these fish that we've got. We'll just pull back through them. After we just set all this line out too. But I mean, we've got a little chop on the water right now. The wind just keeps picking up. I think the better play is to go. It's going to help. We're going to have better control of the kayak and better control of our speed if we go the other way, I think. So that's what we're going to do. Executive decision, by gosh. Y'all don't like it, speak up. Speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say at the church house. Well, somebody's getting hitched up. Yeah, we'll just run back down the same stretch that we just fished and see, you know, and who knows, maybe going the other way, maybe we get some more fish. Maybe we get better quality fish. I've had situations like that before where you troll one way, you don't get bit. You turn around and go the other way and you do. So we may go back down through here and not get bit at all. Or we may just absolutely tear them up. That was nice. I waved. Y'all wasn't going to, but I did. Let's spin back around here, and we'll start letting everything back out. The wind's got us plumb off course, y'all. Now we may, with me going this way, y'all may hear a little bit more wind noise on the camera. We'll just have to deal with it, I guess, because I can't fix this other wind piece on the microphone here. We'll have to do that tonight when I get home. I'll get us back over here on this ledge, and we'll try to set our speed again, and hopefully going 0.5 will keep us faster than the current. Set that. And let's set our speed thing here. I really wanted to work our way up, just keep going on this ledge, at least go up to that other creek, but start letting out some line on that. I don't think the wind keeps getting worse. It's not getting any better. So I think it's, unless we just ran up there. I've got this thing backlashed now. Damn it. We were doing so good there for a little while, y'all. Now everything's going wrong. Had to cut that line on that fish. Well, now we've got this line backlashed all to get out. Boy, let's take a look at this. Let's get that undone there. It wrapped up a little bit. Okay. Now I think we're getting in business here. If we get going down through here and if we get going, if we have to, what we'll do is we will increase our speed to like 0.6, 0.7 or something. That may be what we have to do just to get to going, make sure we're going faster than the current. It's just when you're trying to drag with the current, your sinker is dragging bottom, right? So it's meeting resistance on there. It's being slowed down by the bottom as you come across rocks and debris and all that stuff on bottom as it's catching, you know. But your bait floating up behind the sinker is not meeting that resistance, so it's moving at the current speed. And so if you're not going faster than the current, what inevitably happens is that's that same guy that just went by us. They run all the way up there. He didn't even stop and fish. He's turning around. Oh boy, these bass boaters, man, I don't understand them. But inevitably what happens is your bait gets pushed up around your sinker and it gets just all wrapped up in it and stuff. And so it just ain't, unless you're going significantly, like if you got current going 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and you want to drag like 0.5, 0.6, fine. But you just don't want to, when you hook a fish, you don't want to spot lock in that situation because your other line is going to get pushed forward. So that's a long-winded way of saying it's best to drag against the current or drag with the current and make sure you're going faster. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's the Cliff's Notes version of what I was trying to say and couldn't get out. I got a way with words, folks. I'm a poet amongst men. Let's finish throwing out some line on this one here too. We'll run this balloon rig out a little farther here. Be interesting to see though we make our way back down through the fish we just caught, do we catch more? Do we catch less? Do we catch better quality? It's the great unknown. We're gonna find out though. At least until we run out of camera battery or run out of bait. All right, let's set that back there. Onward we go. It has the wind. I mean, it's just normally if it's going to pick up in the afternoons, it's usually picked up by now. Time is it here? 5:56 now. So I don't know when it gets. We've had the time change there last week. I don't know what time exactly it gets dark now. We're gaining a little bit of time every day, a minute a day, I guess, of daylight we gain as we go on into the later part of the year here. I may let out a little more line on these rigs since it's getting so choppy, just to keep everything from bouncing. That's kind of how I do things when I'm dragging. I base it, how much line I let out, on the water conditions. A lot of these fellas, and here's the thing, this is why the planer boards work better in boats than they do in kayaks. You hear these fellas in boats talking about they're catching their fish, most of their fish, their biggest fish, on the planer boards that are farthest away from the boat, right? You hear that all the time. And that doesn't really apply to kayaks. See, when you got these guys in boats, they're running these big, most of them are running these big sea arcs or these big aluminum boat rigs, man. They're making a lot of noise in them boats. You take a day like today with this kind of chop on the water right now, that water hitting the side of them aluminum boats, it's loud. It's putting off a lot of noise in the water. Plus, you've got this boat that, and undoubtedly people are walking around in, right? They're moving around on that boat. That's sending noise down there under the water. And then just the size of the boat, you get a sunny day like today and water with a little visibility, you're putting off a huge shadow as that boat goes over. So undoubtedly what's happening is they come across some fish coming over the top of them. Let's say they're on a break line like we're doing right now. They come across these fish, them fish spook. They go out to the sides, they scatter. Well, a couple minutes later, out there to the sides where them fishes run away from the boat, well, here comes a free meal on them planer board rigs that they're running. So they're catching them big fish on their planer boards farthest away from the boat. Makes total sense. But when you got a kayak, it's a completely different situation. We're not spooking those fish that we're going over the top of, because this water hitting the plastic of our kayak hulls, it's not making really any noise. The plastic kind of dampens the sound. It doesn't make it louder like aluminum does. It barely makes any noise at all. Then you take just the kayak itself, it's a much smaller profile than these big 22, 24 foot aluminum boat rigs. So when we're moving down through here, downriver right now in this kayak, yeah, we're putting off a shadow on the water there, but I mean, hell, there's logs that go floating down the river with a bigger profile than what we're putting off on this kayak. So these fish that we're coming over, we're not walking around in the kayak here like you're doing a boat either. So we're not putting off the noise. We're not putting off the same shadow. We're just not spooking these fish. So you don't need to run planer boards just for the sake of spooking fish, because we're not spooking them. So that's another reason why running planer boards in a kayak just don't make a ton of sense, unless you're in a creek where they could be spread out, or a big flat where they could be chasing bait fish anywhere on that flat. Well, then it makes sense. But doing like I like doing here, like we're doing right now, working this break line on this ledge, man, we're on the edge of this ledge. We got one bait basically right there on it, and another one just a few feet over. Like, we're fishing precisely where we need to be. For any fish working along the edge of this ledge, like, we're on it. So I like knowing where my baits are at. That's what I'm getting at. If these fellas, they want to show up at these tournaments and run 6 rods, 10 rods off their kayak, by all means. But boy, I'm gonna ride their asses when I beat them with 2. I consider it a moral victory. In addition to this past weekend, in addition to getting the real victory, I got the moral victory too, is the way I look at it. I hope this wind noise is tolerable for y'all. If it ain't, tell me now. We'll just go to the house. I'd love to get me something to drink anyway. No, I'm gonna ride it out here a while. I really want to see what's gonna happen when we go back down this ledge. We're coming up now on this, where the old creek dumped in right here. Here we are, and there's that creek right up here beside us. And we're starting to see more bait here along the bottom. There's a fish that's kind of up. But we're getting down here now. We're just gonna hopefully start getting bit again. There's been a lot of bait today though, on the bottom of this ledge, man, a lot of bait. But this is how, when I work a ledge, that bottom break line there, it's a high percentage play. You're gonna get a lot of fish there. Now, depending on where you're at. Now out here today, the ledge basically comes straight up to the land, the way, because it's steep. But oftentimes, in these reservoirs like I'm fishing here, you get, the ledge will come up and there'll be a flat over here, and which was basically old farmland back before they made the reservoirs, right? And it just got flooded. That top edge of that drop right there too is another good place you can drag, depending on how deep it is. You'll catch fish on the top too, but bottom is a high percentage play. And when I go fishing, I want the odds in my favor, so I like high percentage plays. It pays off more times than it don't, that's for sure. But there are times you'll work a big stretch, bottom edge there, and you're just not getting bit, and you'll think, man, them fish are shut down. When in reality, they're probably very active. They're probably up on the top edge, or they've moved up shallow to feed, and they're just, the bite's on fire. You know, they're just super active. But you ain't getting bit, so you think, well, it's just an inactive day. Well, I'd love to cover this microphone any way I could, because I know that wind gusting right there has got to be annoying the crap out of y'all. This is just springtime fishing, man. This is just how it is. When you come to the south in the spring, the wind will go from flat calm to a hurricane in the blink of an eye. And it's like that about every day. And it'll be this way up through, used to just be March was a bad month, and it'd start to slack off in April. But now, seems like the last few years, we've had high winds on into April too. I hope it dies down quicker this year. I hope the wind ain't blowing real bad out there and we go Las Vegas. I ain't even checked the weather report out there. I gotta figure out if I'm gonna need a jacket or not. You know, the desert, you think of going to the desert and you think about it being hot all the time, but the fact is, I've been out there sometimes in the winter months and it's been cold, especially at night. So I'm gonna have to look and see what the temperature is before I pack. And speaking of packing, this really ticked me off when I got the plane ticket. Every time I've ever flown anywhere in the past, I talked to my channel members, y'all here in a rerun. I did a channel members video the other day and I mentioned this. Thank you to all my channel members, by the way, too. Appreciate the heck out of you. But when I booked this this flight to Vegas, in the past you always get a free carry-on. It's just included with the plane ticket. A carry-on bag and what they call a personal item, which is basically something small that you can hold. Well, not anymore. Now, I'm flying out Allegiant because they do the direct flights out of Knoxville. All the other carriers, you got to have a layover somewhere. Allegiant's doing direct flights out of Knoxville, though. They charge you for the carry-on $40 some odd for each, not total, for each flight out there, and another 40 something back. It's ridiculous. I said, heck with that. I'm going to Vegas, man. It ain't like I need a lot of clothes. I need a couple changes of underwear and a toothbrush. So my personal item that's supposed to be handheld is going to hold my underwear and my toothbrush. That's it, by gosh. That's all I need, man. I ain't paying that fee, buddy. I'm too cheap for that. Hell, I make my dragon sinker so I can save a few dollars a piece on them. You think I'm gonna pay to carry on a luggage, a suitcase onto a plane? I don't think so. And it's ridiculous that they want to charge you for that kind of thing. They nickel and dime you, man, to them airlines. And you better believe I'll eat before I go to the airport too, because I don't want to pay their ridiculous charges there at the food court inside the airport. That's highway robbery. They'll charge you dang near double to get a hamburger is what you could get it if you wasn't in the airport. I don't know how they do that. That ought to be criminal. That's price gouging is what it is. They know once you get past security, you're stuck. And then the flights, you know, inevitably you're gonna have a flight get delayed, get canceled, whatever. I've been stuck at the airport before. You're forced to, at that point, you're stuck there. You're gonna get hungry, you gotta eat, and well, guess what? You're gonna pay more. So I'm on to their games, man. I try not to play their games. I would pay more right now if one of y'all bring me something to drink. If you can go back in time and teleport through this screen and bring me something to drink, I'd pay you a pretty penny for it, because I'm parched. Especially now that we're going into this wind, it's going to dry my tongue out even quicker. What we really needed today, and I should have brought one and didn't, was a drift sock. A drift sock would have allowed us to keep going upriver, even with this tailwind. We could have slowed ourselves down and kept ourselves straight. Trying to get us here back on this brake line here. Got pushed off of it a little bit, and I'm trying to get us lined back up. Hey, some days, you know, current, here's the thing about current. And a lot of catfishermen, if you're fishing a river system where you got good flow, you cast baits out, current's your friend, man. It'll disperse that scent and fish can lock in and come find it. Even if you're off position where you need the bait to be, that blood and oil getting dispersed help fish come find it if they're active. And if you get active fish, they'll come get them baits. But you get a day where fish ain't real active, or you get a day, maybe you're fishing a lake or a reservoir and you ain't got no flow, buddy, you off by 30 feet, you might as well be off by 30 miles, because they just ain't gonna come get it. You gotta be more precise in those situations. And that's where learning how fish move on the contours and working them places, that's where it really comes in and really help you catch more fish over the long haul. Because a lot of days, you know, I'm fishing Barr Reservoir today. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I'm fishing Barr today, and when we get on into the late spring and summer months, TVA won't generate all the time in those months. What they typically do is they'll turn the generators on late morning, 11 o'clock, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they'll run them generators till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then they shut them off. So like in the summer months, I typically like fishing the morning hours. I get out and fish sunrise till 10, 11 o'clock when it gets hot, and then I get off the water. Well, usually during them time periods, you don't have any current flow because TVA ain't generating. So you got to be a lot more precise then to get bit, because you don't have that current dispersing everything for you. Y'all wave at another in here. He's got a bullet bass boat right there. He's a high roller, buddy. I saw some of them at a fishing show up there in Knoxville. I didn't go this past year, but the year before I went up there and looked at that fishing show, and they had all them boats set up and everything. And boy, some of them bullets right there run you 80 grand, depending on the motor you got on them. I don't know how them bass fishermen ran. I don't know what they do for work to afford such a thing. Unless they in one of them payment plan situations where they got good credit. I think if you got good credit and you walk into Bass Pro shops, they'll finance you $500 a month the rest of your life and put you in any boat you want. But these guys around here, they got more money in their boat than I got in my house. And that ain't an exaggeration either, folks. That's the dang truth. I promise you, you go to any of these bass tournament weigh-ins around here, you'll find guys running boats between their boat and their motor and their trailer and the electronics and stuff they got on. They got over 100 grand at them, easy. And I didn't pay 100 grand for my house, in case you wondered. I didn't. I bought my house, of course. I bought my house back in the day before Tennessee got popular. Now we're the most popular state in the union. Everybody's moving here because of our no state income tax and good climate and all. COVID, boy, it ran up the dang real estate prices around here, something crazy. Yes, we got a snag here. Let's see if we can pull out of this one. I hope we can. Yep, there it comes. Now everything around here has gotten just crazy, but my house is a foreclosure. I bought it in 2006. I give $85,000 for my place. Now it was exactly what you would think of when you think of a foreclosure property. It had been trashed. The people that, before they lost the house, before it got foreclosed on, they made sure that the value was ruined in it, man. There was literally feces on the walls, man. That's a true story. Like literally smeared on the walls. The house had to be gutted. Now, fortunately, my mama, who is the sweetest person of all time and very handy, and my dad, who is also very handy, did almost, I think they did everything as far as the remodeling. Like they ripped out all, they did most of the work, to be honest with you. All the carpet got ripped out, new hardwood floors, basically everything in the house got gutted. The only things that's in the house now that was in there when I bought it was the kitchen cabinets and kitchen counters and the bathtubs. Everything else, light fixtures, ceiling fans, the floors, all the appliances in there was garbage. I mean, just everything. The doors, I mean, literally everything in the house had to be replaced. But now I got a pretty nice place, and I got it. I mean, nowadays, Lord, a house like my neighbor's house, theirs is a little bit bigger than mine square footage wise, but it's significantly older. My house was built in '96. Theirs was built in the '60s. It went for $400,000. And my channel members, y'all have seen some of my videos there for y'all, me walk around my yard. You've seen my neighborhood. It ain't that nice a neighborhood. But my neighbor's house beside me there last year sold for $400,000. Now I got another house out on the highway just up from me, maybe a mile away. It's a brand new house that was built last year. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I don't remember the square footage on it. 1,500? Somewhere around 1,500 square foot. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It went for $330,000. And it was on the market maybe 2 days before it was sold. It's just all these people moving down here. It's jacked up the real estate. Now, I mean, I guess the good thing is if I ever did decide to sell my place, I'm gonna turn a nice profit on it. But what good is turning a profit? What are you gonna get with it? Let's say I sold my place and got $400,000 for it. Where the hell are you gonna go in Tennessee around here that I'm gonna end up with the same size house just on a different piece of land? Is what I'm gonna end up with, because everything's expensive around here. It's just gotten crazy. But you know, my house got a good deal on it there at the foreclosure, and of course my parents are very handy people, and you know, was able to help me get the place looking nice and everything, and save on the labor fees with all that. And then the lot, my house originally sits on an acre, a little over an acre, and then the lot kind of beside and behind me I ended up buying. I was home one day and I was looking at my kitchen window and I saw somebody walk through the backyard. 2 fellas out there. And I went out there and I was like, "Can I help you?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, we were just looking for the property boundary over here. We own this property behind you here. We're gonna get you some neighbors." And I was like, "Oh hell," you know. And so I ended up calling the guy who's now our current mayor. He's our mayor and biggest real estate developer in town. He's something. But anyway, back then he cut me a hell of a deal. I went to him and was like, "Look, you know, the way the land was, it kind of cut through diagonally the way it went." And I was like, "Would you sell me enough of the land to at least square off my backyard area there?" And he's like, "Well, I don't want to do that, but I'll sell you the whole property if you want it." And he cut me a deal on it. He sold it to me for half the appraised value. The land at the time is 3 acres there. It appraised for 50-something thousand at the time. Now this was back, when was this? I bought the house in 2006. I think bought that land from him in 2009 or 10 maybe. I remember I think it was 2009 actually, because I had just got out of school there the second time. I was an LPN originally. I worked as an LPN for 5 years, and I went back to school to become an RN. I just got out of school. I was broke as a joke, man, and now I got to try to find money to buy this land so I don't get any neighbors. And he actually financed me himself, gave me a much better interest rate than what I would have ever got at a bank. So from that aspect, I'm thankful for the guy, but he's ruined our city, man, our town. Since he's become mayor, he's working all these real estate deals for himself and all his friends, and it's just apartment complexes going up everywhere, subdivisions going up everywhere. It's turned into a nightmare all over town. You can't get in. Used to, you could go from one end of town to the other 5 minutes. Now it'll take you a half hour to go from one end to the other, because you hit every dang red light, and they've had to put in a bunch more red lights to accommodate all the new restaurants that have popped up to feed all the people that's living here now. And it's just, he's filling his pockets, man, with all his real estate deals. So I'm torn on him, because again, he cut me a deal at the time, but boy, he's ruined the town. But anyway, again, I paid $25,000 for them 3 acres, so that gave me a total of 4 acres basically between the acre I already had and that, and it kind of squared off my land there. So I got a really good deal on my place, and You know, everything's paid off now. My house is paid for, land's paid for, car's paid for, you know, everything's, now I'm in a good spot. But boy, back then, I was faced with that. It's like, how am I going? Because I mean, I had just got out of school and I had all that student loan debt, and I wasn't making much money there when I got out of school. And of course I had the house payment and car payment, and you know how it is. I just bills. And I'm like, now I got to come up with another 25 grand. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? But he financed me and, you know, helped me out. So it all worked out in the end, but it was stressful at the time. But now I got a nice place that's paid for and really sitting on a gold mine. It's just, like I said, yeah, I could sell my place and turn a nice profit, but where are you going to buy it any cheaper? You know, it's you know, I'd go from one small house to another small house, just paying the same price. But I like living in a small house. You know, a lot of people consider my place a starter house, they'll call it, quote unquote. And they'll buy that house and they'll build a little equity, they'll sell it and they'll go get a bigger house, and they keep moving up until they get these mansions and stuff. And I'm like, I don't need no mansion. Like, I just don't have that much stuff. There's advantages to living in a small house. You pay a lot less in electricity to heat and cool it. I mean, granted, to sell this place right now, again, I'm sitting on a gold mine, but for tax appraisal purposes, you pay, it ain't appraised for as much as what I could sell it for, I guess what I'm trying to say. But you don't pay, when you got a smaller house, you don't pay as much in property taxes. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of advantages to living in a small place. I just don't have a need for, I mean, if I had a big mansion, it'd just be sitting empty all the time. Like, I don't even know what you would do. You just spend more money, I guess, putting furniture in it. Like, I need a bedroom, a crapper, and a living room to watch TV, and a kitchen. That's all I need. I wouldn't mind having a bigger shed outside, but since I got that big zero-turn lawnmower, I can't fit it in my shed. My door ain't wide enough to get in there, so I gotta park it in the carport. So it'd be nice to have a bigger shed. But otherwise, that's about all I need, man. And, you know, now that I got the place paid for and stuff, it's like, food is my biggest expense now, monthly expense. Once the mortgage payment was gone, I paid it. I was 32 when I paid my house off. So really the last 10 years I've been mortgage free. Like, now food is my biggest expense. And of course, food has gone up, well, along with everything else in the last few years. But that's my biggest monthly expense now. Everything else, electricity bill ain't bad. My property taxes ain't bad. Homeowner's insurance is another thing. When you got a small house, and it just ain't nearly as high. Hell, right now my internet bill costs more than my electric bill. Now I mentioned that in the last video there, AT&T that day, when I filmed that Ultralight video, unedited, we talked to AT&T on the phone there during the video. They come and got their wire. It's gone. They left all them little marker flag things they'd run with the wire. They left them all over my yard. I had to pick them up. Heaven forbid they take them with them, but got them gone. I'm still waiting on the utility board to come and put in their fiber optic line. I don't know when that's going to be. We're past the original 4-week mark that they had said, so I don't know when they're coming. So right now I'm still stuck with Charter, paying $120 a month for garbage internet. I'll be paying less than that when I get the new utility board internet. It'll be faster speeds at a much cheaper price. You know what's concerning though, is we've come back down through here, we ain't getting bit. Since we started going with the current, we ain't nothing going on down through here. We've pulled past that creek mouth. Nothing. We're getting down in here. We was getting bit all up and down through here before, and I'm still seeing bait down there. We ain't getting nothing. I hope it ain't a situation where we're just not going to get bit going this direction. I do think when you're going against the current and you pull baits by a fish, I think you'll sometimes maybe get a reaction strike from them. Whereas coming down, you know what I'm trying to say. Like those fish, if they're facing into the current and all of a sudden a bait comes by them, they're like, oh, boom, snatch it. Whereas you're coming forward and they're facing into the current. Yeah, I don't know. You can overanalyze everything. But something definitely, you know, we were getting bit coming up through here, and now we ain't. And I don't believe we sore lipped all them fish. As many fish as we caught, I promise you there's a lot more we didn't catch through here. But the wind the way it is, without a drift sock, we're just gonna have to suck it up and stay the way we're going. Let's try to drop on that. I don't well, let's not try to drop on it because our jig is now wrapped all around this rod tip. I don't know if that was a school of bait fish or just a larger fish, but we missed our chance on him anyway. Let's set that back up front here, though. Here comes four-wheeler man over here beside us. What the heck are they doing? I guess they just coming out for a evening stroll out here. Maybe they're gonna watch a sunset or something. That's sweet and romantic. It's a man and a woman. You fellas watching at home, you need to do something nice for your ladies. Take her out to a sunset on a riverbank or something. Buy her a flower on your way home from work today. I guarantee you that's what they're doing. They'd come down here and watch a sunset. They're gonna have a sweet romantic moment together. I'm gonna catch a fish right in front of them if I want to bite too. That woman over there, she'll see me flexing my muscles, reeling in a big fish, and get her all hot and bothered, and he'll go home and have a good time tonight. He'll send me a thank you card. There's a fish out in front of us there, about 20 feet. He's about 20 feet down, about 20 feet in front of us. Let's see how. I see my jig. I don't see him anymore though. I'm gonna drop it down right there. Hopefully we're gonna bring it by him. That's my jig right there. I don't see him. I lost sight of him there on the screen. Thought I was landing that jig where I needed to. I was wanting to reel one in right there in front of that woman, get her all randy and everything, but trying to help that old boy out over there. These fish just ain't wanting to cooperate. Almost wonder too, you know, the wind has kicked up more. I wonder if that's played a role in this at all too. I think the weather's supposed to be pretty consistent next couple days. I'm curious to see, they got a King Cats, and by the time you're seeing this video, obviously that tournament's over, but the King Cat's got a boat tournament out here on Barr this weekend. I'm curious to see what it takes to win that thing. I guarantee you it's going to take more than what we've got today, that's for sure. We have got a couple decent fish though. Considering how little bait we've had, the number of fish we've gotten has been, I mean, I'm gonna go home happy today. You see how this water's splashing over in front of my kayak there when we hit that chop and stuff? it won't do it now that I'm trying to point it out. The wind's kicking up again. It's liable to do it here in a minute. But my next kayak I get, unless I just find another used Toby, but I'm gonna get one that ain't got a front hatch, because that water, when you in chop, that bow mount goes over one wave and through the next, and you get water over the front bow, and it ends up in that front hatch, and you end up with a hole full of water. Now today we're not going to end up in much, but if any. But you get a day where the wind's worse and it's a lot more choppy, it's a nuisance. That's my main complaint with this kayak, is that front hatch just don't block a drop of water. The fella's got him a fishing pole over there. I wonder, he might catch something too. I don't even know what he's fishing for. I think he's give up on it. He made about 5 casts. He's give up on it. If I seen him reel in a skipjack, I'd go over and holler at him and try to buy it off of him. If it's a big one, something bigger than what we got out. I think we got one more whole one in our cooler there, if we end up needing it. I need to try to get us over a little bit too. I think we're getting off course here. I need to work back to the right a little bit, try to get more on this brake line. Boy, ain't that something, y'all. We went to first almost an hour, couldn't get bit. Then it was lights out for an hour, hour and a half. And now we've went along, but ever since we turned, we ain't getting bit. All the action gonna be in that middle hour of this video. We at least gonna fish down here to where we started getting bit though. There's a little pocket down here on the right, a couple houses in it. It ain't a creek, it's just a pocket. That's where the fish kind of started. That's where we started getting bit at. All the way to the bass boat, there goes another one. They're leaving now. I guess their romantic sunset tour was short-lived. He didn't even hold her hand walking down through there. Some of these fellas just can't even help themselves. Oh hell, that bass boat's gonna go down there and fish that pocket. He's probably just wanting to eavesdrop on us, what he's wanting to do. He's wanting to hear what me and you are saying to each other. He'll just go down there and pretend to fish in front of us and really just be listening in to our conversation. Where are we at on this video now? We're a little over 3 hours, but we got a bunch of fish for 3 hours, but boy, they come. Oh man, right there was one too, 20 feet deep. He's under us. Boy, by the time I see them, it's too late to throw at them. Comes the wind again. Again, y'all, I apologize if there's noise on the camera. It's just that time of year. I hate it, especially those of you who listen to this and with earphones in. It ain't that bad on the TV sets. But when somebody's out in the wind and you trying to listen to it with headphones, it's really bad. It ain't amazing though how quick it picked up. I mean, it was not bad at all when we first got out here. And then, boom, the last couple hours, it's really picked up. But one thing for sure now, with the amount of bait that we've gone through, I I definitely can't catfish tomorrow unless I get out in the morning and am able to find some more bait. And I don't know if I will be or not. I don't know if I'll be able to. As bad as they were biting yesterday, I don't know if I'll do any good or not. If the wind, if it's like this tomorrow, I definitely can't go ultralight fishing either. Maybe I'll have a situation in the morning maybe where I can maybe get out and do some ultralight fishing and it'd be calm. I'll take a look at the wind report tonight and see. That'd be nice. Maybe I could do that tomorrow. I'd like to do some ultralight. I love ultralight fishing, man. I'd about do that all the time, really. You wouldn't have to twist my arm. It's just so simple. You always get a ton of bites. It's so much fun. Don't get me wrong, I like reeling in big catfish too, but with the ultralight fishing, you don't typically have these downtime, these breaks. You don't go an hour without getting bit while you're ultralight fishing like you do I mean, there's days catfishing, especially if I'm anchor fishing. And this is why it's hard to do unedited videos when I'm anchor fishing, unless I'm just really on the fish, because there's so many times where I'll set up on a spot and just have 3 hours without a bite, and then they all start feeding and they start working through, and you got rods going down 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you're catching one fish after another, and then they're gone again. It's hard to do that in an unedited video because you got all that time there without getting bit. But when you ultralight fishing, you're constantly getting bit. You're constantly, there's a big splash over front. We'll get water in the hole from that. That wind's something else, but I like the constant action of the ultralight. I like the fact that it's just fun. It's so much fun. Even small fish, catching them with that ultralight pole, man, it's a good time. Tackle's minimal. I've been running the same ultralight rod. The ultralight rod I got, it's kind of pricey. It was $110, I think, when I got it, and I think they're like $130 now. You know, like everything's going up. But man, I've been running that same rod for, I can't remember when I got it, 2015, 2016. 7-8 years or more I've been running it. I've went through a couple reels in that time, but you know, you got your rod, you got your reel. I bought a big 10,000 yard spool, that trout magnet line, and I can replace my line regularly. Running up high on the sledge now. I can replace my line frequently, and it don't hardly cost anything because I bought that line in bulk. It's funny, you can buy them filler spools of the ultralight line, 2-pound line. It's like 300 yard spool, you pay $6-7 for, right? Or you can spend $40 and buy a 10,000 yard spool. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You buy the big spool and it lasts forever. So you do that, buy some jigs, buy some gulp minnows, and man, you're set. That's all you need. Don't need no electronics, don't need no graphs, don't need no trolling motor. I use my pedal kayak most of the time when I go ultralight fishing. If the day ever come, like let's say YouTube died off or whatever, I'd sell this kayak for sure. I'd fish out of my pedal kayak all the time. But hell, you wouldn't. There might be a situation where maybe I go back to paddling if I was just ultralight fishing all the time, because I mean I can do just as good paddling as what I can pedaling the ultralight fish. You can't cover as much water, but hell, you don't need to. You don't have to cover that much water when you're ultralight fishing. Doing what I'm doing out here today, you need to cover some water, obviously. But ultralight fishing don't have to. Just fish where you launch at. There's all kinds of something around them brush and trees everywhere. Bluegill, crappie, bass. All kinds of bass, yellow bass, white bass, largemouth bass, smallmouth, drum. Hell, that last ultralight trip, I caught a dang gizzard shad with a gulp minnow. Caught it. I mean, he ate it, had it in the mouth. That's the only second time that's ever happened to me. First time I didn't get it on video, and I didn't even mention it because I didn't think anybody would believe it. Hell, I didn't. Part of me didn't believe it. I caught him in the mouth, but I thought maybe I snagged the dang thing. Because I mean, them shad, they're eating plankton. They're not eating gulp minnows. So I thought I must have just freak thing, just snagged him in the mouth. But sure as the world, the other day out there, I got another one in the mouth. Let's see if we can get this fish right here in the mouth. Oh, was my jig gonna get there? Where'd he go on the screen? Right about there is where he was. Let's see if we can turn the transducer. I lost him. I don't see him now. But yeah, anyway, that dang gizzard shad ate that gulp minnow, man. But I mean, you throw that small bait, you're gonna catch a little bit of everything. I mean, I've caught a little bit of everything. So it's just a good time. I enjoy it. I enjoy the simplicity of it. Just minimal tackle, one rod, some jig head, some gulp, ton of fish. Don't need motor, don't need graph, just basic kayaks, all you need. We need a stick of dynamite right now. I think is what we need to catch a catfish. I mean, what a difference. What a difference it's made. Turning around going this direction versus going the other. There's no way. There's just no way. We're gonna, with the wind blowing like it is, we can't go the other direction right now. Not without a drift sock. Which I'm unprepared. Y'all forgot to dang. I should blame you for it. I shouldn't blame myself right now. I should blame you for not bringing a drift stock. I can't get my words out. My tongue's so dry right now because I'm thirsty. Definitely your fault though that we don't have a drift sock today. But there's no way we could go the other way right now with this wind. We'll just be sideways, or we'll be going down through there a mile an hour, which is well, going a mile an hour might get us more fish that way than what we're going half a mile an hour this way. We couldn't do any worse, I don't guess, but we're gonna fish down here to this pocket. If we don't get bit when we get down here to this pocket, I may run back down river where I launched at. There's another creek down there. There's a cliff wall down there too. I didn't have the live scope on coming up, but I wouldn't mind taking a look around it. I may probe around a little bit down there before I leave today. See what's up. At least scan it with the electronics and see what's going on. I'm thirsty, y'all. I really wish one of y'all would bring me something. I don't even care what you bring me. As long as it ain't a cup of pee or something, I'd about drink it. Talking to y'all for 3 straight hours make a man mouth dry out. But yeah, y'all, whether or not I get to, I ain't got enough bait to go catfishing tomorrow unless I can get something in the morning. But if the wind allows, I may try some ultralight fishing. But whether I get to or not, hopefully there won't be a disruption to the channel here, because I can post this video. I got my tournament video coming out on Friday, which is 2 days from now when I'm leaving for Vegas. And this video I'll schedule for like Tuesday or something when I get back, and then that'll buy me a few days once I get home to maybe get some videos filmed there for the next upload there on Friday or Saturday or whatever. So hopefully there won't be a disruption. to the channel with my little vacation, but I needed I just wanted to get away for a little while before we get into the kind of the busy fishing season here, I call it, on YouTube. It's, you know, I fish year round, but YouTube fishing videos are kind of a seasonal thing. When you get views, you get a lot more views spring, summer months when people are searching for fishing content. Then in the fall, winter, your views drop. And so we're getting about that time of year, usually about mid-March, right now really, you start seeing an uptick in views, which I have gotten. I've noticed that lately, last couple weeks. And then it just kind of ramps up all the way through June, July, August before it bottoms out there after Labor Day. So if I'm gonna take a vacation somewhere and get a little break from social media altogether, now is kind of the last time to do it here before I really gotta get serious about making sure I'm getting videos when I hit the water and stuff. So kind of a good time to do it and go out there, have a good time, hopefully hit a jackpot, come back, buy me one of them UT Orange Yeti coolers that's way overpriced for what they are, but I want one just because I do like having, I've got several coolers, but the fancy cooler does keep ice a lot longer than a cheap plastic one there from sporting goods store, you know, one of them igloos. So you use it long enough, the money you save on ice does pay for the cooler, but it takes a while. When you spending, that one I got there, that size 35 I got that I'm using right now in this kayak, I think it was $179 I paid for it, and that included shipping. There wasn't no tax on it. 179 or 189, I can't, it's been a few years, but I mean that's still expensive for a dang cooler. You know, it don't cost them anywhere near that to make one. They spend more money shipping them things than they do making them. But if I get me one of them, that Rody 48 or Rody 60, they're $450, $500. So I'd have to hit a jackpot to justify that. But again, you know, you save enough money in ice, you eventually recoup the loss of that. But it takes a long time. $3 a bag for ice. It takes a long time, buddy. But it's kind of like that too with getting a kayak trailer. I used to car top my kayak, not this one obviously, but my old Kayak Air, very first video I ever put on YouTube. I had a native ultimate kayak, and I used to car top that thing, and I ended up buying a trailer on Craigslist. It was a used jet ski trailer. I spent $250 on it, and I had to put some new tires on it and new lights. So yeah, I had about $300 in it when it's all said and done. But here comes the wind. It just keeps getting worse, y'all. So I got $300 when it's all said and done in that trailer. Well, over the course of time, and that trailer now, my pedal kayak sits on that particular trailer now, but I've had that thing. I think I got that trailer back in 2011, 2012 maybe. So I mean, I've had it now 12, 13 years. But over the course of time, when you look at the amount of money I've saved on gas by pulling the kayak on a trailer versus, because car topping, you got all that wind resistance on top of your car there when you're driving in the road, so it kills your gas mileage. My car, I get pulling the kayak now with my car. I got a 2020 Honda Fit now. I used to have a 2011 Honda Fit. I hit Bambi there a couple years ago. I had to get me a new one. But same model car. Pulling my kayak trailer, I get about 32 miles to the gallon. When I was car topping my native kayak, Before I got the trailer, I was getting about 21, 22 miles a gallon. Now you multiply that 10 miles per gallon extra over the course of the last 12, 13 years, that trailer, it pays me to pull it at this point when you look at the money you've saved. So kind of the same thing with the fancy coolers. The money you save on ice over 5 years, 10 years, it ends up paying for itself, paying you to use it. But definitely at $3 a bag for ice, it takes a while to get there with the coolers. You pay off the trailer a lot quicker than what you're going to pay off a cooler. I can't believe we ain't got not one single bite coming back down through here, y'all. This has been... And, you know, honestly, we ain't even really seeing as much bait coming back down through here. I mean, I've been seeing it, but not as much as... Not as thick as it was as when we were coming up. It makes me wonder if maybe they didn't move. Did they go higher up on the ledge? You know, the later the afternoons went on, it's been a warmer day, heating up them rocks over there. Did they move up possibly? You know, I don't know. We're drifting way off though. We're getting off course here. Maybe that's part of our problem. We're getting too far off that brake line. Either way, when we turned, this whole area we've worked through, we were getting bit on going the other direction. I really wish we could have just kept on that path, because we'd probably be down there by that other creek by now if we could have kept going. Who knows how many more fish we'd have caught. Clearly we'd have caught more than what we've got going this way. We couldn't have caught any less. That's fishing though, folks, man. You get on them, you get off of them. We wasn't on them when we started, and business picked up, and we got several, got a couple decent quality, and now we back off of them again. And them fish too, they may have run that bait. There's a school of bait there. It's moved up higher in the water column. You see it about 10 feet, about 40 feet in front of us there on the screen. That's just how it goes. But if you work in brake lines though, I'm telling you, let's say you got 8 hours to fish, you're moving half a mile an hour, you can cover 4 miles of a ledge. You do that, and you stay on them brake lines, you're gonna have a hard time not getting bit. There'll be days where you don't, but you'll have a hard time not catching fish at some point. There was another one. We're gonna miss him. He's going behind us there. That's another big mark though that's up. He's done moved on behind him. The time I seen him, he was under us and gone. And to do what I'm doing today, I mean, granted, I got the live scope, and it's a fancy tool. Yeah, we can see stuff out in front of us. But to do this style of fishing, you don't really need that. What you need is that map card. You know, there's another fish. He's under us though. That's a long fish. I don't know if that's a cat. That may be a paddlefish. But you got a graph with a map card and just a basic 2D graph. That's all you need. You just need to be able to confirm where you think you are on that brake line and just follow it. And like I said, you fishing 8 hours, half a mile an hour, that's 4 miles that you can cover, whether you're drifting or you trolling or you whatever you do. You cover that much water, you're gonna put your baits in front of some fish. So now this is fun and all, but like I've said so many times before, my preference is to kind of set up on a spot and wait on fish to come to me versus me going to the fish. I like doing that, and of course suspending baits is more fun to catch them anyway, and then you get a lot more flatheads doing that. You're rarely catching flatheads. I hoped adding these flies on to these rigs, these dragon rigs, will hopefully help me get some more flathead bites. It just hasn't worked out yet. I've yet to catch a flathead on the flies. Got several blues on them now, but they haven't got a flathead on the fly while dragging. Now I've got several flatheads on the flies while suspending baits and just setting on some. I've got a bunch of flatheads doing that. Got some nice ones too. But with the dragging rigs, it just hasn't worked out that way as of yet. Now, I don't know why that is. I've had my theories that I've explained in other videos on why you don't get flatheads as frequently dragging as you do other techniques, but regardless of why you don't, you just don't. And when I fish, when I suspend baits and set up on a spot, I get flatheads a lot more frequently. And we get in that time of year now, water temps warming up, them flatheads gonna start coming a lot more frequently. You get on up about 60 degrees. 60 degrees is a magic number. It's just the bite gets so much better at 60 degrees. It'll be good all the way on up, but I don't know why that is, but it just seems to get them going, man. It gets them fish going like I'd have got that woman back there going if she had seen me reeling a fish and flexing my muscles and everything. I hate that she missed out on the opportunity for that. These fish have let her down. They've let her boyfriend or husband down too. It would have been his night, I promise you. I ain't gonna give it much further here, y'all. We're gonna, like I said, we're going here to this pocket where we started getting bit. It's kind of discouraging, the fact we ain't got nothing down through here. I think I'm gonna fish down here a little bit further, and I'm gonna pull up and run back down river here toward where I'll launch. I'll launch downriver from here and come up. I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna check out that other creek that comes in. I'm gonna check out that cliff wall, I think. Let's see what's going on there. I'm just curious. That cliff wall is a lot, there's a deeper hole right there. It's like 70 feet. And when I went to Alabama, I couldn't get fish that deep down there. My fish was coming like 40, 50 feet range. That's where I was getting all my fish at. If I fished deeper than that, I couldn't get bit. If I fished shallower than that, I couldn't get bit. I'm kind of curious what'd be going on here today at them deeper depths. With the bait, with so much bait being here, mid-30s, I'm inclined to believe that's where most of the action of the fish is going to be. I'll be curious to see what they do at that tournament this weekend. What size fish they're catching, where they're getting them at, what kind of structure, what kind of depth. Be interesting to see. I'll check that out when I get back home, because when they doing that weigh-in, I'll probably be throwing them dice is what I'll be doing this weekend. I feel like I'm gonna have a heater coming on this weekend, buddy. Well, I don't put a lot of money in gambling when I go. I don't spend much, but I got a feeling this is my weekend. I'm still running hot off that tournament win. I'm feeling it, buddy. I can feel it down to my loins. It's gonna be a good weekend. Old bass fisherman down there got him one. Don't look very big though. You think he'd have been offended if I'd run down there and ask him if I could use it for bait? And bass fishermen get tore up on it, don't they? Bass are legal bait here in Tennessee as long as you caught them rod and reel, and they're, I don't know how big they got to be here. I'd have to look it up. It's 14 or 15 inches here on Watts Bar. I fish Fort Loudon and Watts Bar the most, and I think one of them's 14-inch limit and one of them's 15-inch limit. I can't remember which is which. Either way, them bass fishermen, they get tore up and you try to use a bass for bait. I guess he caught it off that dock over yonder. I can't tell what he's doing. We're about 20% on the battery life here. We're getting. We're gonna end up timing it perfect, I guess, to wrap this crap up. Sure would be nice to end it on a fish though. Probably from looking at the sun there, we got a little bit of daylight left. Let's see. 7:01 now. I guess it was normally about 6 o'clock before the time change. Yeah, probably got another 30 minutes or so daylight left. Got more daylight than camera battery. I'm way off that dang brake line again, man. This wind is just, I'm having a hard time, even with the dang course heading. It's hard to, I'm having a hard time keeping myself where I need to be today. I'm having piss poor boat control, y'all. You gotta do better. When you fish it, if you're gonna work in brake lines, you gotta work them. You can't be veering off of them. But coming back down through here, though, has been a bad idea. I can't believe y'all talked me into this. We should have never come this direction. It was a terrible idea you had. I tried my best to talk you out of it. And look what it's cost us. It's cost us another hour here without catching fish. Y'all would feel bad about it. I do think, though, here in a minute, I'm going to pull up, run back down there toward the car. I'm going to look around on that cliff wall. If there's fish there, I'll drop baits down. May drop baits down there anyway. And I'm going to check out that creek. I'm at least going to check out that creek mouth down there. I'm going to scan the creek mouth. If there's bait there and fish there, I'll drop baits down. If they ain't, I'm going to go on down to that cliff wall, and I'm going to drop baits there regardless, unless there's somebody sitting on it. I'm definitely going to fish it for a little while, whether I see anything or not, because there could be some fish on bottom there. I just want to see what's going on. But doing what we're doing here just ain't working out now. It was, but now it ain't. People over there's got a nice house. Look at this house up there. Got all them windows right there. They can sit there. I imagine that's their living room. They can sit right there in their living room and watch that sun go down every night. That's the way to live, man. That house right there, though, in the current real estate market, that's probably $1 million house. Or more. I just don't know what people do around here. It's got to be all foreigners coming in. I say foreigners, I mean like New Yorkers and Californians and stuff. I'm dropping down on a fish right here. We may plunk him in the head. Boy, I've put it right in front of him. Will he hit it? I don't see him anymore. I see my jig, I don't see him anymore. But I got it right in front of him. I guess I spooked him. He's gone now. Crap. But yeah, it's got to be New Yorkers, Californians coming here and buying these houses and stuff, because ain't nobody working here in Tennessee able to afford no $1 million house unless they some kind of politician or lawyer or something. Same thing with these guys in bass boats. Like, they got to be on the Bass Pro plan, $500 a month for the rest of your life, because I mean, them boats, $80,000, $100,000. I mean, it's got to be a huge payment. I don't get it. I ain't no bass fisherman, but even if I was, I just can't imagine spending $80,000 on a boat. I just can't do it. I'm too cheap for that. But to each their own. You only live once, so you want it, go for it. Here's some more wind. Yeah, folks, I don't know. I've made a mistake here, obviously, coming this direction. Maybe, too, the fish have moved. Could be, too, that just maybe the wind. You know, I don't know. This wind's picked up. Maybe the pressure's changed. I don't really follow barometric pressure stuff. Never cared about that. I go fishing when I can. You know, I try to fish when it's convenient for me to fish. If you try to get perfect weather and perfect conditions, you'll never leave the house. It just won't work out. But it could just be something's changed, man, with the pressure, and it's turned these fish off possibly. I don't know. But either way, we've covered a good stretch down through here that we caught fish on before, and we ain't got them on the way back. So just one of them things. But I think I'm gonna reel up, run down here and check out them other spots. Probably just wrap up the video. I probably won't film. I'll just switch out battery anyway, but we'll probably just wrap this up. And this time I get down there, I figure we got 30-45 minutes of sunlight left. Time I get down there and set up, I ain't gonna be fishing long before I'm gonna wrap it up anyway, because I'm gonna be out of here at dark today. But anyway, y'all, if you've come with me to this point in the video, thanks for riding it out, especially that wind noise that is undoubtedly blowing into the microphone. I know that's obnoxious. I can't stand watching videos with the wind noise, so I feel your pain. But thanks. We got several. It ended up, I mean, we had our slow stretches, beginning and now, but we got several fish today. So got a couple good quality fish. So I'm gonna go home happy, but wish we could have got them a little bit more frequently, both to start and now. Hate having these long periods without a bite in these videos, but it's real fishing, man. I'll bring you along raw and uncut, unedited. You see it just like you out here with me. So anyway, y'all, by the time you're seeing this, I'm either a big winner from a jackpot in Vegas, or I'm coming back significantly less money than when I started. I just hope the doors don't blow off the airplanes like them others have been happening. That's scary stuff when you're about to get on a flight, man. But anyway, y'all, we'll do it again here in the next video, and hopefully Mother Nature won't be blowing the wind as hard in the next one. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.